Jerry started walking on the street. Everybody look at him like it was strange. He started crying, cause he just remember that one day people just make him hurt. Make him play like you. Coffee, ladder starlight, gotta grow. Don't know what I kinda do. And I don't know. Don't know what I kinda do. And I don't know. I protect my culture. Jerry love the hipster. People love the validate. Sometime or every day. Wanna call them mom and dad. Say daddy, welcome back. They just like Lil Ming. It's kind of dream, baby, change the life.
Hey, yo. What up, fools? Today is 12/25/2025 at 9:20 p.m. It is Crema Day. How y'all doing? Hope your Christmases were good. Hope everybody enjoyed your days, hung out with family. Got to spend some quality time. Hope you had all of the good shit. And if not, that's what I'm here for. Fuck your families. Fuck quality time. This is what it's all about. This is what it is all about. Is being here with us every night of the year, even on Christmas. Fuck everybody else. That's what I say. That's what I say. You missed like 4 days. The fuck? I think it was maybe 2. But yeah. We're getting there. You know, this music ended up being horrible, bro. This I just went and found like a dubstep Christmas playlist. This was garbage. What the fuck was this? Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. What the fuck was that? This is garbage, dude. You guys know who Trans-Siberian Orchestra is? There were 2 groups that I really liked when I was younger. Trans-Siberian Orchestra was one. I'm blanking on the name of the other. I'm blanking on the name of the other group. And I used to like go to their concerts and everything. Just before this, my mom said, with the utmost confidence, that they were paying $200 per year, or sorry, 200-year-old people out to Social Security. What? That they were paying 200-year-old people out to Social Security. What does that mean? I'm sorry, I don't know what that means. What does it mean to pay people to Social Security? That old people are paying Social Security? Or what? Oh, they're paying 200-year-olds. Hmm. Yeah. That's a very real thing. Yeah. Thank goodness Doge put a stop to that. What was the name of the other group? Crap. What the fuck? Ah. Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Maybe that's who I'm thinking of. That is who I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of, yeah, Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Yep, this is it. I used to have this fucking album, bro. It's so good. So fucking good. I think this is the one. This is what I should have played for the fucking intro. I used to listen to this shit all the fucking time. I went to their concerts, I had their albums, I listened to these guys all the time. That's right, my Bluetooth makes it to where I'm on. Ah, this is a fucking jam, right? All right. So yeah, so because I have not streamed as much lately, we haven't gotten in, and when I have streamed, we've mostly been doing debates. So we haven't gotten as much into the Epstein files, the Epstein releases, all the crap that has come with this. Plus, there's been a lot more that's come with the MAGA war and everything that's happening within MAGA. Um, Now, the last time that I did stream, I did bring up a very specific photo that I was talking about the fact that this is all over my feed and that conservatives kept tweeting this out. Like, they kept quote tweeting this fucking picture of Trump with a young blonde girl. And they kept saying, Democrats are lying. This is Ivanka. And there's literally no way it was Ivanka. There's no way it was Ivanka. Like, no fucking way. We went over it here on the last stream towards the end of stream, but there's just literally no fucking way it was Ivanka. The main reason is because one, the girl's face is blacked out. All you can see is like the chin and the forehead, but the blonde hair that was on the girl is a very different color of blonde. Two, the chin on the girl looks nothing like Ivanka's chin. But three, and the main thing is that Donald Trump is kind of fat and old in that picture. There's never a fucking time where Ivanka was like this 12-year-old girl and Trump was that fat and that old looking. Just never. Never a fucking period. And conservatives just kept running around saying that this is Ivanka. The Democrats are lying. This is a picture of Trump with Ivanka. And it was not a picture of Trump with Ivanka. Like, there's just no fucking way. But we also were trying to figure out where the fuck the picture came from. Like, they made it sound like it came from the Epstein files. They said the DOJ forgot to delete this one from the website, but it wasn't. It didn't seem to be a picture. Like, we couldn't find it anywhere. We couldn't find it on the DOJ website. But there was just literally no shot this was Ivanka. No way in hell. I did post this in general in Discord the next day because one of the frustrations was that nobody had a debunking of this. Like, it was all over the place and nobody had anything on it. The main thing that we saw was a guy, I forget his name, like William something, that had posted this. But yeah, Snopes has one. Image of Trump with young girl emerged after Epstein files dropped. There is no proof it's real. A social media account with a history of publishing clickbait shared the image, claiming the Justice Department forgot to delete it. Yep, that's who I'm talking about. Shortly after the U.S. Department of Justice released a batch of files related to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein on December 19th, 2025, an image depicting President Trump with a young girl whose face was censored on what appeared to be a private jet online. Yep, there he is, Keith Edwards. That's who it is. We went to his post and saw that he posted this. Now, apparently, it was all kind of a troll. Anyways, this is the earliest version of the image we could find appeared on social media user Keith Edwards' platform, including YouTube and X. We reached out to Edwards via X and Instagram seeking comment about whether he created the image and whether it was AI generated or otherwise altered, and we'll update this report should we learn more. While Edwards' YouTube account used the image as a thumbnail for a video titled, "The FBI Forgot to Redact This," and he mentioned one file they forgot to redact involving Trump and a 14-year-old girl at 22 seconds, Edwards did not show the thumbnail image during the 10-minute video, indicating it was likely intended as clickbait. Okay. Yeah, this guy. That's right. This fucking guy, Keith Edwards. Yeah, I don't like him. I don't like him. He definitely plays into shit a little bit too strongly. Little too much for me. So yeah. That's you guys if you were here for the last stream and you saw how long we spent trying to figure out what the fuck this image was or where it came from, now you know. Now you got your answers. So this was very frustrating for me at the time, but glad we got to the bottom of this. But yeah, the funny thing is that it's kind of a troll in that the conservatives just like lied and said this is an image of Trump with Ivanka. Is like, wait, where did you get that from? Like, where did you get that from? And I even commented under a number of people's stuff and said, like, you guys keep saying this is Ivanka. I've seen tons of conservative accounts saying this is Ivanka, but not one of you ever says how you know this is Ivanka. Not one. Not one of you ever shows any evidence. Not one of you ever shows any logic. Not one of you ever explains why you think it's Ivanka or how you know it's Ivanka. You just say that that's the case. And then I explain the things, like the fact that Trump was never that old and that fat when Ivanka was that age. So there's absolutely no way. But there's a lot of shit. There's a lot of fucking shit when it comes to this stuff. Like, one thing is that a lot of people are saying that the DOJ messed up because they're able to copy and paste some of the stuff that's redacted. So, like, a lot of the files, they have these black bars over the text. And if you just copy behind the bars and then click paste, you can see what was there. So it's not redacted. A lot of people are like, bruh, fucking DOJ fucked this up royally by posting this shit in a way that we can all see it. Turns out it's not the DOJ. The DOJ did not do this. It is not their fault. I think this video explains
People on
it.
TikTok and Reddit showed a way to actually unredact one of the Epstein files, so we decided to take a look and see for ourselves. This is the Justice Department's new Epstein library, where they've been posting tens of thousands of documents in the past week. If you scroll around the site, you can get to this page, which contains the botched redaction. It's from a lawsuit filed in 2020 by the government of the U.S. Virgin Islands against Jeffrey Epstein's estate. So this is the key paragraph, and it references Darren Indyke, Jeffrey Epstein's longtime attorney. Only problem? It's redacted. We can't see it. But if you select the whole paragraph, copy and paste into a Word document, you can actually see what was underneath those redactions. The Virgin Islands lawyers alleged that Epstein's tax-exempt charitable foundation was fraudulently misused to cover up Epstein's criminal activity. In that redacted paragraph, they claimed that Indyke, who ran the charity, quote, signed foundation account checks for over $400,000 made payable to young female models and actresses, including a former Russian model. Now that's a lot of money, but it's only an allegation, so we reached out to Indyke's lawyers for comment. I'll read for you what they said. Quote, not a single woman has ever accused Mr. Indyke of committing sexual abuse or witnessing sexual abuse. They went on to say, quote, no judge in any court anywhere has ever found that Mr. Indyke committed any wrongdoing of any kind.
Yeah, it's not what the accusation was, but cool story, bro.
Now, a lot of people on social media were blaming this faulty redaction on the Trump DOJ, and the DOJ has taken a lot of heat for over-redacting some parts of the Epstein files and under-redacting other parts, possibly exposing some of Epstein's victims. But you can't blame this redaction error on the DOJ, and here's why. All right, we're here at the top, and you can see that this case was filed in the Superior Court of the Virgin Islands, and the case began in 2020. So you can use that case number to look up the original files in the Virgin Islands, and that's exactly what we did here. If you look closely, the numbers all match. You can find the file in this docket, which indicates two things. Number one, it was first posted in February of 2021, and it was uploaded by the Virgin Islands Attorney General. So you can click through to the document. You can see it's the same file. It's got the same redactions. You can do the same copy and paste trick, which means these botched redactions have actually been out there for nearly 5 years. People on TikTok and Reddit showed a way to
So yeah, that one, not really their fault. But there's still stuff like this getting posted by people where it looks like just getting AI to fill in the face, and then they say this is the picture that the DOJ deleted from the website, but there's no evidence that this was ever on the actual website. So yeah. And this guy has his comments turned off. 28,000 likes on it, and he's got his comments turned off to where nobody can correct him. So there you go. Let's see.
And we know he was on the plane, not only on the plane a couple times, multiple times. He traveled internationally with Jeffrey Epstein. And he was on the plane called the Lolita Express because it supposedly had a bed in there where Jeffrey Epstein had young girls. And we know he was on the plane, not only on the plane a couple times, multiple times. He traveled internationally with Jeffrey Epstein. And he was on the plane called the Lolita Express because it supposedly had a bed in there where Jeffrey Epstein had young girls. And we
yeah, Trump posted this. This is what the Democrats do to their Republican opponent who is leading them by a lot in the polls. This is AI, and it is not. It is very dangerous for our country. Also, I was never on Epstein's plane or at his stupid island. Strong laws ought to be developed against AI. It will be a big and very dangerous problem in the future. And let's see. Blank issues government apology or groveling apology after posting phony pics of Trump on pedo plane of Jeffrey Epstein, but not without taking a shot at ex-owner Elon Musk for allowing disinformation on his site. This is Mark Ruffalo. Okay. Ruffalo, who lost out on the Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actor Sunday night, posted the image on social media last week. He was quoting the... Oh, but that's fine. That's a way. That's one way to phrase that. Normally, you would say Ruffalo, who was nominated for XYZ. Normally, that's what you say. It's like if they didn't win, but they were nominated, you say Mark Ruffalo, who was nominated for this award, but they said who just, who lost out for Best Supporting Actor. Okay. He was quoting the post on X of a user claiming Trump took 2 separate flights to Epstein Island. Gross, #MAGA wants to paint everyone on those flights as pedophiles except one guy who smiles in a group of young girls all headed to Epstein's fantasy island with him, the actor wrote. My bet is there are some decent Republicans left in America that may think this is going too far. And then here's the an email from January 7th, 2020. Subject, Epstein flight records. Thanks very much. Who are the potential Maxwell witnesses? And this from the same day says, for your situational awareness, wanted to let you know that the flight records we received yesterday reflect that Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet many more times than previously has been reported, or that we were aware, including during the period we would expect to charge in a Maxwell case. In particular, he is listed as a passenger on at least 8 flights between 1993 and 1996. Including at least 4 flights on which Maxwell was also present. He is listed as having traveled with, among others, and at various times, Marla Maples, his daughter Tiffany, and his son Eric. On one flight in 1993, he and Epstein are the only 2 listed passengers. On another, the only 3 passengers are Epstein, Trump, and then 20-year-old blank. On 2 other flights, 2 of the passengers, respectively, were women who would be possible witnesses in a Maxwell case. We've just finished reviewing the full records, more than 100 pages of very small script, and didn't want any of this to be a surprise down the road. So this has been like a big thing with MAGA, where they keep acting like if you're in the flight logs, you're a pedophile. We know you're a fucking pedophile if you're in the flight logs. Then it turns out Trump is in the flight logs. They don't care about the flight logs all that much. It's not that big of a deal. You could have been going anywhere. Who cares? They say if you were friends with Epstein, you were obviously a pedophile. Donald Trump turns out to be best friends with Epstein for 15 years. And now all of a sudden, it doesn't matter if you were friends with Epstein anymore. Not that big of a deal. At this point, the only thing I think that matters to them, the only thing that is damning, is if Epstein happened to have had a painting of you in a dress hanging up in his house. That's it. That is the only thing that matters anymore. That's the only way you know if somebody's a pedophile, is if Epstein had a picture of them in a dress hanging up in his house, then you know they're a pedophile. That's the only way you could know. Was there a picture of Trump in his house hanging up? No. There's never a picture of Trump in a dress hanging up in Epstein's house. Okay. Doesn't matter. That picture does not exist of Trump. It exists of Bill Clinton, not of Trump. So that's it. That's all that matters. So yeah, the goalposts keep shifting. If the dress don't fit, you must acquit. All right. What is this? Wu-Tang is for the children. Holy shit, this 3-page FBI file is insane. Trump is accused of rape, and then the victim was later found dead with her head blown off, and cops say they didn't think it was suicide. FBI document. I don't know if I'm going to be able to read this one. Blank, let's see, on 10/27/2020 at 3:20 p.m. Eastern Time, blank, date of birth, blank, cellular telephone number, blank, called the FBI National Threat Operation Center, NICC, or NIOC unit, to report potential information related to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Blank provided the following information. Blank reported around 1997 he made contact with blank, date of birth, blank, whom he had known from 6 or 7 years prior. 6, 7, yo, 6, they said 6, 7. 6 or 7 years prior, as they had a son together. Blank and blank ended up dating. As blank explained, she was having money issues and problems with her daughter. Blank noted they were friends from before. During the contact in 1997, asked blank how to spell Ghislaine numerous times. As blank noted, she had taken her daughters up to see one of the supposed fathers who lived in Niagara Falls, New York, recently. Blank reported she had met a lady who invited her daughters blank, date of birth, and blank date of birth, blank, to a fancy hotel and met Donald and some of his friends in 1997. Okay, I can't see this. We're going to have to... We're going to have to zoom in a bit. Blank reported she had met a lady who invited her daughters blank and blank, date of birth, continued asking how to spell Ghislaine, needed money. Okay. They invited him to a fancy hotel and met Donald Trump and some of his friends in 1997. On Christmas Eve in 1999, or the day prior, blank was over visiting his son, who he had with blank years prior. Blank began talking to blank as she seemed to be acting strange and asked blank if he needed a ride home. Blank asked about blank, blank asked blank about his time driving a limousine for 2 years in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. During blank's time as a driver, he had met Donald Trump. Blank noted he picked up the president in 1995 and took him to the DFW airport. Blank reported some things President Trump had spoken about during the ride while his cell phone was on his cell phone were very concerning. Blank reported he was a few seconds from pulling the limousine over on the median and within a few seconds of pulling him out of the car and hurting him due to some of the things he was saying, as caller choose not to. Bro, what is up with the fucking grammar? Blank noted Trump continuously stated the name Jeffrey while on the phone and made references to abusing some girls. Blank was unsure who he was talking to, nor who he was referencing. As Blank talked about his time meeting Donald Trump, Blank demeanor went stone cold. As Blank stated, he raped me. Blank said, what as Blank replied, Donald J. Trump had raped her along with Jeffrey Epstein. Blank noted some girls with a funny name took me into a fancy hotel or building. That's how it happened. Blank advised Blank to call the police regarding the incident. As Blank stated, I can't. They will kill me. On Christmas Day, Blank contacted Blank, stated she had, in fact, called the police about what they had talked about. Blank told Blank she had done good. Blank did not hear from Blank or Blank until 1/10/2000. Blank reached out to Blank, stating Blank was dead, and noted she was found with her head blown off in Kiefer, Oklahoma. Officers on the scene and Blank stated there was no way it was a suicide. Coroner stated it was a suicide. Blank later stated Blank committed suicide because Blank had gotten cocaine from a Mexican drug cartel. Blank feels the murder is a cover for Ghislaine. The last contact with Blank was after Blank posted this information on Facebook a couple of weeks prior. Blank called Blank, yelling that he had put the family in danger. Blank explained Blank had a third daughter named Blank, date of birth blank. Note during report he mentioned John Doe number 2 was actually John. John W. Nichols, date of birth blank, who tried to originally set Blank up for the bombing in Oklahoma City. Nichols worked security for Bill and Hillary Clinton as Blank ate at a place where Nichols worked security at the door. Hillary walked up to Blank drunk and began yelling as they asked Blank to leave and fired Nichols, which led Nichols to attempt to set up Blank for the bombing. Um, So supposedly the guy who like wrote this or who they took the claim from. One, a lot of people are saying that the cops in this said that this was sounds like that Katie Johnson allegation. Correct. This sound like the thing about this is that it sounds eerily similar to other accusations as well. It sounds very similar. But yeah, people said that like the cops said that this wasn't a suicide. Is that what's in the blanks? Is that like the cops said that? Because in there they make it sound like the guy who wrote the report didn't think it was a suicide. Not that the cops didn't think it was a suicide. Because the coroner, like this is, if it's ruled a suicide, normally the coroner doesn't rule it a suicide. Normally the coroner just gives evidence of like what they think something is. But the cops or like detectives or somebody are the ones who come to the conclusion based on all of the evidence that they've been provided. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about this one. Redactions aren't about victims, they are about containment. Epstein wasn't the system. He was a node. Files like this don't expose predators. They discipline silence. Follow the protection network. The pattern repeats. It's not Republican or Democrat. Power protects the system. Okay. Six or what? Yeah. True. Oh, it says there's a comment, but it's not showing. Yeah.
6, 7.
Yeah.
I'm such
Yeah. Let's go. He did it. He did it. Well. Merry Christmas, homie. How's it going? 6'7" is the worst meme. It's the greatest meme of all time, bro. You just don't get it. The Epstein letter that was written to Larry Nassar is another slander attempt at Trump. Okay. All right. This is a letter that was written apparently from Larry Nassar in prison to Jeffrey Epstein. And Larry Nassar is the was he the gymnastics guy? Was that who Larry Nassar was? It was like another well-known like pedophile dude. Yes, is Dear LN. Okay, so this is from Jeffrey Epstein to Larry. Okay. I'm not going to be able to read this. But yes, yeah, he was the gymnast guy. He's the guy who like sexually assaulted tons of girls over a long period of time for like decades. But yeah, the I'm not gonna be able to read this, but essentially what it says is it's a letter just saying to Larry, like, you know, you, me, and Trump, we all love young nubile girls, and we, uh, you and me get in trouble, and Trump is president. You know, kind of fucked up how things work out, eh? Like, that's essentially what the letter says. So, all the left does is lie, and what's worse is people will believe it and run with it without fact checking. Again, Trump did all the exposing on these sick people. And if it were anything on Trump, they would have dumped it on the public back when he ran the first time. FBI and Justice Department confirmed the Larry Nassar letter is another fake hoax document. 1. Writing does not match Epstein's. 2. Letter incorrectly postmarked Northern Virginia instead of New York. 3. Return address and inmate number is missing. U.S. Department, the FBI has confirmed this alleged letter from Jeffrey Epstein to Larry Nassar is fake. The fake letter was received by the jail and flagged for the FBI at the time. The FBI made this conclusion based on the following facts. The writing does not appear to match Jeffrey Epstein's. The letter was postmarked 3 days after Epstein's death out of Northern Virginia when he was jailed in New York. The return address did not list the jail where Epstein was held and did not include his inmate number, which is required for outgoing mail. This fake letter serves as a reminder that just because a document is released by the Department of Justice does not make the allegations or claims within the document factual. Nevertheless, the DOJ will continue to release all material required by law. I don't know why every time, like, the DOJ releases something that turns out to be fake, why do they all turn around and say, wow, look at what the Democrats are doing? What is it? The Democrats, what does it have to do with the fucking Democrats? Like, why do they keep doing? So fucking weird. Dude. Like, they get it. Look at what the left is doing. The Democrats are doing this. The Democrats did that. It's like, they didn't post any of this shit. Breaking, Democrats are pushing allegations against Trump, including rape and murder, which the FBI emanated from a deranged psychopath who was connected to the bombings in Oklahoma City and who also worked security for Bill and Hillary Clinton. Who tried to originally set blank up for the bombing in OKC. Nichols worked security for Bill and Hillary as blank ate at the place where Nichols worked security at the door. Hillary walked up to blank drunk and began yelling as they asked, what does that mean? Like, he was connected to the bombing in OKC. What does that even mean? He was connected to the bombing in OKC. Like, this says that that this person tried to set him up for it. So when they say he was connected, they mean he was totally innocent and somebody tried to set him up. Like what does this, what the fuck does that mean? Like, and they say Democrats are pushing this. Democrats are pushing this. Well, no, it's just what the fucking document says, bro. It's just like Democrats didn't release this shit. It's always this. We've got him now. We've got him now. We've got him. Yes, it is. It is always this. It's just that there's a large group of people who don't give a fuck what he does. So it doesn't matter. You have to be next level dumb to believe anything related to Epstein coming out of this administration. It's clearly a cover up. I mean, look, again. So Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein both said that they were best friends. I think Epstein said for 10 years, Trump said for 15 years. The period of time that they were best friends during are the most prominent years of Epstein and his pedophilia. It is like, these are the most prominent years, okay? This is the period. So in, what was it, 2008, Trump kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. That's, so if we say 15 years, that means they were like close friends from 1993, which is part of the flight records, is that Trump was on the flights in 1993. So these are the most prominent years of his raping children. This is it. Donald Trump was best friends with this guy during the most prominent years of him doing this shit. 1. 2, there are women who have come out and said that like the two of them were kind of inappropriate and were like children with the way that they would talk to women and the way that they would treat them and the way that they would like, you know, fuck around with girls as though they had never talked to them before and shit like that. And that they were always like schoolboys around each other. We have court records of young girls or grown women saying that Trump and Epstein brutally raped them when they were little girls, and then that they were threatened afterwards and told that they would be killed if they ever came forward about this stuff. And then after they started their lawsuits, they kept saying that they were getting death threats and then just disappeared and just called off their lawsuits and disappeared, and apparently got too many death threats to the point that they had to just like change their names and move away. And then we just read another thing that sounds similar, where a woman says, a woman who apparently ended up dying, they're saying that it was ruled suicide, but that somebody said the cops didn't believe that it was a suicide. I don't know if anybody responded to me on this, but what I just read didn't seem like it was the cops who didn't think it was a suicide. It seems like it was other random people who thought it wasn't a suicide. But yeah, there's that. Then there's, what was the anniversary letter that Trump wrote to Epstein. There's the flight logs where now Trump's on them, I think a total of like 15, 16 times at this point. It's just this was more than enough evidence for like take like 1/10 of the evidence that there is connecting Trump to Epstein, okay? 1/10 of that is about the evidence that you have with Clinton and Epstein. And I'm not here like trying to clear Clinton or anything. I'm not here to say that Clinton did nothing wrong. But take 1/10 of the evidence against Trump. There is 10 times that for Donald Trump. Okay? Or sorry, I'm not here to clear Clinton. Sorry. I think I said Trump. But yeah, I'm not here to clear Clinton or anything. But there's 10 times the evidence against Clinton as there is against Trump. And that is enough evidence for MAGA to say that Clinton is guilty, that Clinton is this horrible person, that Clinton was best friends with Epstein, that Clinton went to Epstein Island, that Clinton did this, Clinton did that. But if that's convincing to you, if you're super convinced that all of this happened with Clinton, you must be like, you would have to be 10 times more convinced with Donald Trump. You would have to be 10 times more sure about Trump doing fucked up shit if you think the evidence that's available is enough for you to think that Clinton did fucked up shit. So there's just like the inconsistency in the way that they read this shit is so obnoxious to me, because you just like it. They're just coping every fucking time, which I'm not saying that Trump did anything wrong, but again, I'm not the one who's running around saying that I know that Clinton did something wrong. I'm not doing that either. But if we were gonna venture to bet one of these guys did something wrong, again, there's way more evidence against Trump than there is against Clinton. So
one of the great mysteries to me and a lot of other people is we've had reporting for some time. Donald Trump is not on Epstein's list. There's nothing in there that's really damning about Donald Trump. And as Susie Wild says, not damning about Donald Trump.
According to the chief.
Or Bill Clinton. So one of the great mysteries all along in this, not been like, what's Donald Trump hiding? What did he do? It's like, why, if he's not in these files, which all the reporting says he's not, why is he so obsessed on blocking access to the files? Is he trying to?
This is, again, you guys remember, like I've said this over and over, like somebody the other day, they said Trump's got to be like guilty, right? Like he's got to be guilty. He's got to have done something wrong. Otherwise, why would he keep lying? He's gotten caught lying about this numerous times. Why would he keep lying? I was like, I don't know if you're old. It's somebody who's like 10 years older than me. I was fucking with them, but I said, I don't know if you're old enough to remember this, but there's a thing called Russiagate. Okay. And during Russiagate, Donald Trump, in like the whole claim was that he had colluded with Russia, and it turned out that he didn't have any like illegal Russian collusion, yet he did lie the entire fucking way through. He got caught lying every single fucking time he talked about it, and he kept trying to stop the investigations from happening. He kept like, doing these like threats to Comey and FBI agents. He kept trying to blockade the investigation. He was like, the whole way through, he looked like the guiltiest person of all time. And yet, still turned out he didn't do anything. He just... why did he lie? Why did he do that? Like, it made no sense. It makes sense to me that a lot of people were very sure that he was guilty because he just kept lying. He just couldn't stop fucking lying. He just kept lying and kept lying. And so, yeah, it was, it makes me, like I've said the whole way through this, that I don't know that Trump actually did anything wrong. I don't know that there's actually going to be anything in here. And I think that this is just going to be another Russiagate sort of thing where he just keeps lying and keeps lying for no reason. Now,
Zed King tipped $5. The problem with the Russiagate example is that it didn't prove collusion, but it did prove Russian election interference specifically to help Trump win without investigation that wouldn't have been confirmed as a fact. Something similar could apply here.
but that has nothing to do with Trump. There's nothing to do with Trump or whether or not like he was involved in it. So I mean that's what we're talking about, is whether or not Trump was involved in the Russia's election method. So it is a good example, because what you just brought up has nothing to do with what it was that I just talked about. Like, yes, there were tons of indictments, tons of other problems, tons of other issues, but most of it was, from what I remember, from them lying to FBI agents. Like, the majority of them getting arrested was because they just kept lying to the FBI. And doesn't mean he didn't do something illegal with Russia. Yeah, well, thanks for nothing. Yeah. Of course, yes. Not finding anything doesn't mean that they've been proven innocent. But with the amount of evidence that we have, like with how long the investigation was, with how in depth the investigation was, I think it would have come out at this point. So, the letter from Nasser was a ploy to take away any thoughts of Epstein being murdered. Yeah, I'm sure people were really concerned with making sure that all of those very legitimate, smart people didn't think he was murdered anymore, because there's a large group of those, so many of those who they needed to convince that he wasn't murdered anymore. They went out of their way to make sure these high-level Reddit moderators no longer thought that he was murdered. They had to really stop those Reddit moderators for figuring it out. There's more than one way to be implicated. On top of that, he could have helped Epstein make connections to people who participated for some personal benefit. I never said it was a good ploy. Okay, where do you get this from? That's the ploy? Sure, Z-King, but if that's not in the files, then that still doesn't matter, right? Like, that still doesn't mean anything if it's not in the file. Turns out the U.S. Department for Justice, not of justice, for justice, okay. The DFJ, no longer the DOJ, it's the DFJ, made that exact mistake. This is brilliant. Multiple reports of people being able to copy and paste parts of the redacted Epstein files because someone administratively screwed up. Every single bit of the decipherable redacted files will now come out.
And essentially, it's why you should be careful about redacting things in a PDF. And essentially, it's because if you don't do it the right way, people can just copy the text behind it and then paste it into a notepad, and it'll show you what the text was. And it turns out the U.S. Department of Justice actually made that mistake with some of the Epstein files. So here's one of the files from justice.gov, and here's a redacted part. I can literally just copy behind it. And then if I go to my Word document over here and hit paste, Why you should be careful about redacting things in a PDF.
So yeah, the Indike one is the one that we just read. That apparently was not the DOJ who did that. And the majority of these, again, like the things that are redacted, it wasn't the DOJ who redacted them. They're just being sent files that other like government agencies, like or other counties, other cities have already redacted themselves, and then they're just sending it to them, and the DOJ is just uploading it. They probably don't care whether or not like those names are redacted or not. To them it doesn't matter. They're just taking what has been redacted and just uploading it. And so yeah, it's just other people who have done it this way. Oh, so the DOJ isn't confirming that they were redacted correctly. Well, why would they? Again, why would they care? Like this doesn't really
behind it.
matter all that.
And then if I go
Because they're the ones releasing the files. Okay, you understand. If another department wants that redacted, it's on them to redact it correctly. If the DOJ doesn't care whether or not this is redacted correctly or not, yes, I understand what being lazy is. Well, that's not being lazy. That's just that it's just not their fucking job. No, if the DOJ is releasing them, it's on them to make sure. They didn't release them. Like they put it in a file in a library for us, but they didn't release it. It was already released. It's their name on the release. It's their name on the library where they re-release what's already released. I would make sure something is right before I release it. What do you mean right? Right according to who? Right according to the county who sent it to you? Is it probably something they should do themselves. So it's their name on the release. That literally doesn't mean anything. You're not saying, you're just trying to find ways to cope.
These 30,000 pages of documents from the Epstein files released overnight, including one which was a letter sent by Jeffrey Epstein, apparently in the days before he took his own life, to convicted sex abuser Larry Nassar, who, again, convicted of abusing so many U.S. gymnasts over the years. In that letter, Epstein wrote to Nassar.
This guy has all the answers. No need to give any additional opinions. They're not giving an opinion. Nobody's given me an opinion. If you have an opinion, you can share it. But if you share your opinion and it disagrees with me, do I get to reply to you and just say, oh, well, this guy has all the answers. No need for my additional opinions then? Is that fair as well? If you guys disagree with me at any point, you voice that disagreement. It's, oh, wow. Okay, no need for any other opinions here. They got it.
These 30,000 pages of documents from the Epstein files released overnight, including one which was a letter sent by Jeffrey Epstein, apparently in the days before.
Yeah, Aaron, the problem is that it would go the other direction. Lots of files are over redacted. Like some of the files have things redacted that like according to the law they're not supposed to be redacted. And And so that was like also part of the problem, was that people were upset that things were being over redacted. But again, it was other departments who had already pre-redacted them. Not, and so technically the DOJ, if anything, should have gone and gotten unredacted files. Like the amount of shit that's been redacted with like names that are redacted for no reason. It's like it specifically states in the law that you're not allowed to redact names to like to stop them from being embarrassed or anything like that, or to stop it from being like reputationally bad for them or anything. You're not allowed to do that. Yes, exactly. That's also part of my point. Right. Okay. So yeah, but that again would it matter in the case of like the what's it called? I can't remember the name. Indike or whatever his name was, because this was already like a public document. This had been out for like a decade.
Or he took his own life, to convicted sex abuser Larry Nassar, who, again, convicted of abusing so many U.S. gymnasts over the years. In that letter, Epstein wrote to Nassar, "Our president," and he was referring, it seems, to President Donald Trump at the time, "our president also shares our love of young, nubile girls." These 30,000 pages.
Yeah, I guess they cut off the part where he says right after, "We found out that this is not real." Well done, buddy. Well done, Twitter guy.
Totally. 30,000 is a lot to get through. And, you know, the DOJ has been sitting on this for a long time. So you kind of would have thought that maybe they would have been better prepared for this moment, since it has been impending at least since Donald Trump won re-election. The Larry Nassar letter apparently is a fake as well. That got a lot of swirl today on social media. But I do think the Department of Justice and the Trump administration did themselves no favors by being so gleeful over Friday's documents with pictures of Bill Clinton, for instance, when they knew that more documents were going to come out where Donald Trump's name is mentioned several times. You know, evidence that he was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane up to 8 times between 1993 and 1996. Two things that stick out to me that I think are very important, and this isn't about Donald Trump. This is about these victims getting their justice, that, excuse me, that there were at least up to 10 co-conspirators who we don't know who they are and they haven't been charged. And the fact that Maria Farmer, one of the victims, made a complaint in 1996 that wasn't taken seriously.
Yeah, possible co-conspirators.
Wasn't addressed. And who knows how many victims could have been saved from a terrible fate of being used by Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, etc., if it had been taken seriously. Those stories really stick out.
That was not the doc that was susceptible to the copy-paste trick. Yeah, it was. The Indike one? That was one of them. There were a couple. But the Indike one is definitely. This is it right here.
Redacting things in a PDF. And essentially, it's because if you don't do it the right way, people can just copy the text behind it and then paste it into a notepad, and it'll show you what the text was. And it turns out the U.S. Department of Justice actually made that mistake with some of the.
You see it right there. In November 2017, Indike. Right there. Oh, it wasn't the only one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, like the majority of these are things that are being sent from other places. Like they're being sent from other departments. They're being sent from other government agencies. And you were able to do this before. So like, just so you guys understand, let's say the FBI, they get this and they're like, whoa, This was not redacted properly. We have to fix this. And then they fix it. But then we can just see where they got it from. We can go to the original source and we can still just copy and paste it off of their fucking page. Like, what is that? What does that do? Like, what's been changed here? Watch, is Narco Rubio coked to the gills like a frat boy? The Kyle Kalinske show. I was about to say, it sounds like something fucking Kyle Kalinske would put out. Yeah, that sounds exactly like some Kyle Kalinske shit. That's funny.
This Epstein Files release, if we can even really call it that, has been a dumpster fire. But it looks like everyone's losing trust at the exact same time. You've got lawmakers from both parties accusing the DOJ of slow. This Epstein Files release, if we can even really call this Epstein Files this Epstein Files release, if we can even really call it that, has been a dumpster. This Epstein Files release, if we can even really call it that, has been a dumpster fire. But it looks like everyone's losing trust at the exact same time. You've got lawmakers from both parties accusing the DOJ of slow walking, blacking out, and selectively hiding information in one of the most notorious abuse cases in modern history. And that's despite a law that explicitly ordered full transparency. Because what the DOJ released, it wasn't clarity, it was largely hundreds of pages of black boxes. Right, the Epstein Files Transparency Act required the Justice Department to fully release all unclassified records related to Jeffrey Epstein. But instead, this Trump DOJ, they released a partial dump and promised more in the coming weeks, which immediately triggered outrage. And so as of this morning, you had Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer announcing that he was introducing legislation to initiate legal action against the DOJ, accusing it of just openly violating the law, and he was not alone there. Right? House Republican Thomas Massie and House Democrat Ro Khanna, they floated something even further, holding Attorney General Pam Bondi in inherent contempt, which is a rarely used congressional power that would allow lawmakers to fine her every single day that the documents aren't released.
They're flouting the spirit and the letter of the law. It's very troubling, the posture that they've taken. And I won't be satisfied until the survivors are satisfied. The quickest way, and I think most expeditious way to get justice for these victims is to bring inherent contempt against Pam Bondi. And that doesn't require going through the courts, and give her, and basically Ro Khanna and I are talking about and drafting that right now.
We only need the House for inherent contempt, and we're building a bipartisan coalition, and it would fine Pam Bondi for every day that she's not releasing these documents.
And their argument was simple. This isn't about pacing, it's about selective concealment. Right, nearly 700 pages of the release were entirely redacted, not partially, not names removed, completely blacked out. And that includes a 119-page grand jury document that was released as nothing but just black ink. And so you had lawmakers across the political spectrum calling the redactions obscene. One writing, most transparent administration in history, these redactions are a mockery of Epstein's survivors and the American people. And another warning, the law allows redactions only to protect victims and their families. Anything else violates federal law. And then over the weekend, things got even messier because reporters noticed that the DOJ had quietly removed at least 16 files from the initial release. And among them, this is going to shock you, included photos of Donald Trump. One image showing Trump, Melania, Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell together. It's a publicly known photo that's existed for years. Another showing Trump surrounded by women, including one wearing a bikini. DOJ also removed images of nude paintings from Epstein's estate. Though after the intense backlash and accusations of political interference, the files were restored. And you had the Trump DOJ claiming that the Trump image, it was removed out of an abundance of caution. Their words, to protect victims, and then they reposted it after determining that no victims were depicted. Which then raised a brand new question that lawmakers immediately asked. Well, what else was removed and who noticed? And that question, it just blew up after Aaron Parnas revealed that a survivor's full name was left unredacted in the release, which is a direct violation of the law, while the DOJ continues to withhold her full FBI file. Something that this woman called an indefensible violation. But in the meantime, we've also seen some of the images released spreading like wildfire. Right? One showing Epstein shirtless under covers next to a very young-looking child. You also had others featuring Bill Clinton with Epstein and celebrities like Mick Jagger, Michael Jackson, and Diana Ross, along with photos of Clinton in a hot tub and a pool with Ghislaine Maxwell and redacted individuals. And there, what you saw were were Republicans jumping on those images to argue that the files, they actually implicate Democrats more than Trump. Though then you had Democrats firing back that the redactions themselves suggest that the DOJ may be shielding powerful people, potentially even including the president. I mean, even Republican Senator Rand Paul warned the administration that this was a mistake, saying that any hint of a cover-up is going to haunt them for months and urging a full release.
I mean, look, the administration has struggled for months and months with something they initially ginned up and then sort of tried to tamp down. So any evidence or any kind of indication that there's not a full reveal on this will just plague them for months and months more. So my suggestion would be give up all the information, release it.
And then also, I've got to say, buried beneath all this political chaos is one of the most devastating revelations in the entire dump. Right? And that's a 1996 FBI complaint from Maria Farmer. You see, Farmer, she reported Epstein for allegedly stealing nude photos of her sisters, 16 and 12 years old, and for pressuring her to photograph young girls. And she says not only did Epstein threaten to burn her house down if she told anyone, she begged the FBI to investigate, but they didn't. For 10 years. And now, 3 decades later, her report is finally public, with her telling the New York Times.
But why did her and her sister have nude photos of themselves? Why were they holding child porn at the time? Has anybody even asked that question?
I've waited 30 years. They can't call me a liar anymore. And while she says, she feels vindicated, she also said they should be ashamed. They harmed all of these little girls. Right? And saying that her complaint also urged the FBI to investigate powerful people in Epstein's orbit, including Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. And yet, even now, key FBI interviews with survivors are missing. Names like Prince Andrew, they barely appear, and victims say that the system, it is once again failing them. But as far as what we're seeing with this, you have the Trump White House claiming that the administration has done more for victims than the Democrats ever have. The Trump DOJ says there's no effort to protect Trump, and officials are daring Congress to even try to hold them in contempt. Right, but at this point, with everything that we've seen, there's just one thing that's undeniable. The Epstein files were supposed to bring transparency, but instead...
Is this motherfucker copying my jacket? What is this? What the fuck is this?
They've just exposed how little trust remains in the DOJ and politics and in a system that has failed survivors and protected the elites for decades. But that's also not where the understandable trust issues ends today, right? Because CBS is now censoring the news for the Trump administration, according to staff at CBS. Right? Because just 3 hours before the Sunday night broadcast of 60 Minutes, CBS announced that it was pulling a segment. And when you know it, it just happened to feature stories of Venezuelan men deported by the Trump administration to a prison known as CICAT, or the Terrorism Confinement Center in El Salvador, which has become infamous for its brutal conditions. And that decision was made by Barry Weiss, the newly installed editor-in-chief of CBS News. And even though it was reportedly screened 5 times and given the green light by lawyers and fact-checkers, she reportedly requested a bunch of changes to the segment. Changes that included adding new material like an interview with White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller. And so CBS's official statement said that the segment was postponed and, quote, needed additional reporting, with Weiss then adding later that stories, they get pulled all the time for a variety of reasons, including, quote, that they lack sufficient context, say, or that they are missing critical voices, with her adding that she looks forward to airing this piece, quote, when it's ready. Though that, as the veteran correspondent who reported the story, Sharon Alfonsi, wrote in a note to other 60 Minutes staff, our story was screened 5 times and cleared by both CBS attorneys and standards and practices. It is factually correct. In my view, pulling it now after every rigorous internal check has been met is not an editorial decision. It is a political one, with Alfonsi adding that her team tried reaching out to the White House, the State Department, and the Department of Homeland Security, but saying that they just received no response. And with that, adding if the administration's refusal to participate becomes a valid reason to spike a story, we have effectively handed them a kill switch for any reporting they find inconvenient. And again, this is a story that not only...
Yeah, this is wild. This is wild. It not only is it wild that Barry Weiss pulled the story, but it's also wild that Barry Weiss pulled the story. Like, I can't stand Barry Weiss. I think she's a fucking nut. She's fucking crazy. I would not have expected her to do this, though. This is something that I would not have expected at all. I'm at a loss to his Barry Weiss, this Barry Weiss woman making that decision. I don't get it either. Like, from my understanding is that the story was like she was in charge of journalism, and like I thought that she was just in charge of like pieces that were getting put up on the CBS website and crap like that. Why is she making decisions about what gets aired on the channel? That's insane. That's fucking nuts. It makes absolutely no sense. But then The fact later, as he already said, even though it was pulled and they said that they're not airing it, it ended up airing. It ended up airing in Canada on accident. They accidentally aired it in Canada. And so now it's out there. Now the whole thing's out there and we have it. Like, we can watch it if we want to. It's out there.
He had a green light, but it was a story that was teased for days on social media. And so you had Alfonsi adding that this sudden postponement, it's going to harm 60 Minutes credibility, and adding, when it fails to air without a credible explanation, the public will correctly identify this as corporate censorship, saying we are trading 50 years of gold standard reputation for a single week of political quiet. And with all this, you had Alfonsi referencing another infamously spiked story in 60 Minutes history. Right in there, I'm talking about the Wiggins scandal. Because in 1995, Jeffrey Wigand, a former employee at the tobacco company Brown & Williamson, gave 60 Minutes information that his company was hiding the health risks of cigarettes. So huge news, except that the story was shot down because the network's lawyers were afraid of inviting a billion-dollar lawsuit. With then the Wall Street Journal later breaking the story 60 minutes following, and with that you had Alfonsi saying, CBS spiked the Jeffrey Wigand interview due to legal concerns nearly destroying the credibility of this broadcast. It took years to recover from that low point. By pulling this story to shield an administration, we are repeating that history, but for political optics rather than legal ones. And so now you've got some 60 Minutes staffers reportedly threatening to quit. The backlash has been echoing across the internet, but Bari Weiss, she is stuck to her guns. Or with Weiss saying in a call-in Monday morning, while the story presented powerful testimony of torture at CCOT, it did not advance the ball, saying the Times and other outlets have previously done similar work. The public knows that Venezuelans have been subjected to horrific treatment at this prison. To run a story on the subject 2 months later, we need to do more. But for many, they still see this as Bari Weiss running interference for the Trump administration, especially since Bari Weiss was installed as CBS is undergoing a number of changes since its parent company Paramount was purchased by Skydance. A move that many were shocked by, as she has no previous experience in TV management and traditional reporting, and its owner, David Ellison, is a Trump ally and has been trying to court the president for his approval. And so, with all of this, I'd love to know your thoughts, opinions, and reactions in those comments down below. Definitely share to spread the word, but also some other news you should know today. Rokana says they're hearing that there's going to be another DOJ Epstein release this afternoon, and with that listing what they'd like to see. TPUSA's America First event was just covered in controversy. Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro, and others taking shots at one another, along with Nicki Minaj showing up and accidentally calling Vice President J.D. Vance an assassin. And Larry Ellison is now apparently backstopping Paramount's bid for Warner Brothers with a $40 billion guarantee. And again, share to spread the word and subscribe to stay in the loop.
New this morning, as the DOJ prepares to release more documents related to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, the department is facing intense criticism over the slow pace of the rollout and the heavy redaction in the initial batch of files. The DOJ says it erred on the side of, quote, over redaction to protect victims of Epstein. Yesterday, the Justice Department republished a photo taken from Epstein's home that featured an image of President Trump. It was deleted Saturday, but reappeared Sunday, with the DOJ saying it temporarily removed the picture to make sure it didn't show any.
Thousands of MAGA faithful turned out over the weekend for Turning Point USA's annual America Fest Summit. And it may indeed have been a turning point for the MAGA movement. Because while they are united in their loyalty to President Trump, different factions of the coalition were fighting for influence amid a brewing fight on the right over how to handle anti-Semites and conspiracy theorists who consider themselves part of the movement. Vice President Vance tried to bridge those divides in his speech without explicitly condemning anyone on the right.
President Trump did not build the greatest coalition in politics by running his supporters through endless, self-defeating purity tests. I didn't bring a list of conservatives to denounce or to deplatform. I know some of you are discouraged by the infighting over any number of issues. Don't be discouraged. Wouldn't you rather lead a movement of free thinkers who sometimes disagree than a bunch of drones who take their orders from George Soros?
While Vance did not take a side, two other loud voices in the conservative movement did.
The conservative movement is also in danger from charlatans who claim to speak in the name of principle, but actually traffic in conspiracism and dishonesty.
If you believe that Hitler was pretty cool, you have no place in the future of the conservative movement. If you call Usha Vance, the second lady of the United States of America, a Jeet, you have no place in the future of the conservative movement. And if you can't say those things without stuttering, then you have no place as a leader.
I'm joined now by a terrific group of reporters. Good to see you all on this Monday afternoon. It is Monday, right? It is Monday. Yes, it is. Okay, just confirming that. Jeff, you've been covering this.
Did he just call out JD Vance? Oh shit. Oh shit.
Conference has been playing out. Really, this fascinating debate that's been going on publicly. What do you make of the way that JD Vance, as he came in here in this speech to this audience, didn't say what Vivek Ramaswamy said, didn't say
Vivek doesn't know his place yet. I don't know if you were here when I went over this on why Vivek left Doge, but he's been on the outs with MAGA ever since, like with the Trump administration ever since. He impressed me with that one. He really did. He said that he was leaving Doge because he wanted to do things the legal way. And like, wow, okay. Well, and I think he meant like he wanted to go the legal route, not like as opposed to the illegal way, but that like he was saying like we should take this through like a legal process. And that to me is still like it is very impressive that he wanted things to go through Congress. He wanted it to go through like the House and the Senate. He wanted a democratic process. He wanted everything to be done the right way. And apparently there were even complaints about the fact that I thought he got pushed out. There were conflicting reports about this. The official statement was that he's decided to leave to focus on future political ventures. And then people were like, oh, I think he might run for governor in this state or blah, 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 right? But then, and everything was quiet. Nobody said anything until Vivek said, I just had some procedural issues with what it was that they were doing. And it wasn't my cup of tea. Initially, we had talked about what it was that they were going to, what we were going to do. And that when it came time for rubber to hit the road, we were doing something different than what we had discussed. And that just wasn't what I was there for. So he's like, I think they're doing great things. I'm happy with what they're doing. It just wasn't my thing. After he said that, then it came out that supposedly Trump and Elon didn't want him there and that they were glad he left because he was complaining too much and that he didn't just do what he was told. He was too much of a problem. And so they were happy that he left. And then after that came out, then yes, Vivek got a little bit more descriptive with the way that he explained why he left. But
what others on the right have said, like Ben Shapiro, very much made it clear that he was not going to condemn any of these factions within his party. What does that say about the way he's positioning himself as he heads into a potential 2028 run?
He's treading very carefully, intentionally. Really struck there listening to Vivek Ramaswamy defending Usha Vance much more than Vice President Vance did in his own speech. Now, Vice President Vance has defended his wife and spoken out in some smaller forums and some interviews, but not on stage there. So
yeah,
I thought
in a
that
podcast, he did that in a different setting.
Exactly, on Friday in a podcast that did not have that attention. But look, I mean, what we're seeing here is Vice President Vance making a concerted decision to try and appeal to everyone. appealed to the entire gamut of the Trump movement, if you will, but not really taking a stand. And I think this conference ended in such a way. It was supposed to be J.D. Vance's sort of moment. Erica Kirk announced her endorsement for him in 2028. Never mind, he's not even said he's running. Of course, he's likely to do so. But I'm not sure how strong he ended up being at the end by trying to, thread a George Soros line, et cetera. He didn't really take a stand, and I think that it showed the fissures inside the Republican Party. The Democrats have some of their own, but now we're talking about Republicans. They are significant from foreign policy to anti-Semitism, obviously. So it'll be interesting to see this post-Trump era. Maybe the only one who can sort of lift up J.D. Vance is Trump himself, and we'll see if he does it.
What do you make of that? He's saying this is a Big Ten party. There's not room for any purity tests, unlike trying to distinguish himself very much from some of those other voices we heard.
Yeah, I think if you went to that speech looking for a leader to say this is right and this is wrong, you're going to leave that speech very disappointed, because that's exactly what he did not say. I actually don't think that it's in conflict with what we've seen from J.D. Vance over the course of the 11 months. Yeah. Given multiple opportunities, from the racist Republican group chat where he said that those young men were young men instead of some of those being 40 years old. In other instances, he has basically declined to condemn various positions in which other members of their party have said, yes, that's not, excuse me, yes, that's not appropriate. And so I think that you're seeing him in real time trying to expand what Trump built. Obviously, we know that there has been some contraction.
Or trying to expand what he builds, because, again, it is very likely that he attempts to be the successor after this term is up. There's been points where Trump has dogged on J.D. Vance, and then there's been points where he has said, I think J.D. Vance is going to be the next successor. So we'll see, but yeah, it may be that he's trying to build his own coalition for the future.
My entire life, Republicans have been targeting minority group after minority group. Conservatives have been getting rich and gaining power off of this, targeting immigrants, targeting LGBTQ people, women. It's been Somalis, Haitians. But the second that certain MAGA commentators are now the subject of this exact type of bigotry, they have a stunning amount of moral clarity about it. Vivek Ramaswamy only had moral clarity when anti-Indian American hatred was being spread. Republican Representative Randy Fine has a lot of moral clarity about bigotry when it's against him, but the way that he talks about Zohran Mamdani, the way he talks about Ilhan Omar is incredibly contradictory. You can't just stop bigotry from entering your movement when it's hitting you. You have to stop it at the door. Do you know who Paul Ingrassia is?
Sure.
Do you know who Paul Ingrassia is?
Yeah, we've debated it.
Do you know what, okay, so do you know what Paul Ingrassia said?
Yeah, we've debated
that
it.
he has a Nazi streak. Oh, you've debated it, but has Trump fired him, or is he still a part of the administration?
I don't know where he is right now.
He's a part of the administration, and you know that. You're lying right now. You know that he is a part of the administration. He is still there, and he said he, quote, has a Nazi streak. So you can sit there and play coy, but you are not having the clarity that you are talking about right now. Do you condemn Paul Ingrassia?
Hey everybody, Adam Mockler here. I just got back from a very heated debate on CNN, and this might be the best one yet. You're going to want to watch this until the end, and if you want to help boost the message, make sure that you drop a like below, and make sure you're subscribed to the Adam Mockler feed. Thank you all, and check this out.
The FBI back in July released this memo that I was reading, where they made a few claims that were just blown out by the Trump administration. First of all, they said that, or blown out by the DOJ. They said that releasing any more files would require releasing child pornography. Then they said there was no evidence linking anyone else to the scheme other than Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. After Congress forced the release of tens of thousands of files, we now know the FBI was lying. Pam Bondi also lied on Fox News. She said she had the files on her desk. She was going to release them. So the entire priority of this administration has been off. The DOJ had a few goals. They said they have to release all of the files with reasonable redactions. They did neither of those things. They didn't release all of the files. They're drip feeding them, and the redactions weren't reasonable. It was over-redacted in some parts, and as we just saw, under-redacted in other parts, and victims were exposed.
And they had plenty of time to do this right.
Yeah.
And I think that's been one of the concerns and the complaints of the victims, is that they never heard from DOJ about how to do this in a way that centered their needs for justice and all of this, which is purportedly what DOJ says that they were trying to protect. But it seems like Trump is also concerned about protecting, I don't know, other people who were palling around with Jeffrey Epstein.
I'm gonna go grab some food real quick. I will be right
back.
I don't like the pictures of Bill Clinton being shown. I don't like the pictures of other people being shown. I think it's a terrible thing. I think Bill Clinton's a big boy. He can handle it. But you probably have pictures being exposed of other people that innocently met Jeffrey Epstein years ago, many years ago.
And so, to Nina's point, he's not wrong that there are some people who are photographed there. Maybe they went to a concert, an event, weren't involved in the larger scheme. But Bill Clinton has been targeted by Trump officials in the last few days. And his spokesperson said, we're not afraid of this being released. Please release it all. It seems that the only person who really doesn't want more released is President Trump.
Well, President Trump came out a few weeks back and was actually in support of releasing the files and having everything be out there. I think that what the president's point here is a presumption of innocence until guilt, right? To not jump to any conclusions. But I would say we got to extract the politics out of this whole thing, and it's everyone at the table agrees on. The main point of this is getting justice for the victims and ensuring that we do it correctly. And Abby, I agree with your point. I agree with your point that we've got to protect the victims, keep their names redacted, and even if that does mean over-redacting until we are sure, what we have and what we're releasing is there. But I'm not going to go down the road of injecting politics into something that shouldn't be political at all. It's about getting justice and closure for these victims, but also doing so out of respect for the courts, like you said earlier, and having that, operating with that presumption of innocence until we have some evidence that someone is guilty through the process of the courts.
It's uniquely important to Donald Trump now that there's a presumption of innocence, but he's willing to proactively say that people like Schiff, people like Letitia James are guilty. Now it's very, very important that we're super careful about what photos we're releasing. I just find it really convenient that Donald Trump is now so worried about this.
Well, I go back to the point I made earlier, is that you just tried to re-inject politics in this. You have to separate these two things. There are peoples whose lives are impacted here.
I'll start to separate it when Trump separates it.
Well, be the leader and show them the way.
I'm a 23-year-old. He's a president.
This is the.
You're telling Adam
that's Adam's go-to.
Wait,
Your guys' go-to is more than Adam.
You make it different. Opinion leader.
He's not wrong. I mean, one of these two is the president.
The president of the United States.
Maybe Adam will be a future president. Who knows?
At
But the
least
fact
not
of the
yet.
matter is that this is not about politics.
No, it's all
Extract the politics out of it, and you have to do whatever it takes to get justice for these victims while also protecting
but I
them.
also think that people are, I think, rightfully concerned that DOJ is trying to protect one man.
Oh no,
and that is
they
Donald Trump.
absolutely
And
are.
that concern was
They have
heightened when
flatly
there
denied
were photos that were put out and then they were removed from the website and then put back out once there was some outcry about it. So that suspicion is there because not just because of the words that Trump said under duress, but because of the actions of the president and his administration when it came to this issue. Should there be boundaries? Should someone be able to go up on that stage and say, if you believe these things, you are not part of our movement?
Well, look, my personal view is that this was an event. It's the first big rally since Charlie got murdered. And specifically what Candace has been doing, terrorizing a grieving widow for the last several months with conspiracy theories, some of them wrapped up in this whole Israel nonsense, is nothing short of despicable. And I think Ben was right to call that out. I didn't hear Ben calling for the excommunication or the deplatforming of anyone, but I do think it's more than reasonable to say, what kind of a movement allows someone in whose job is to monetize the grief of a widow after she had to witness her husband and the leader of this organization get murdered? I think that's more than in bounds for him to talk about, look, we're a political party and a political movement. We're not a sponge. You don't have to absorb everything that oozes in under the door. I think that was Ben's point. And look, everybody's going to have a right to say whatever they want. It's not about free speech. It's about what sort of speech you want to be identified with. I, for one, don't really want to be identified with someone who is terrorizing a grieving widow.
Yeah, and we'll get to how Vance plays into this because you mentioned it. But the New York Times wrote this in the depths of these Republican divisions has been obscured by two things: shared affection for Trump and a shared revulsion at the left. But Trump is no longer on the ballot, and there's increased alarm over the new right. These two factors are working together to shrink the Republican tent.
Yeah, you said J.D. Vance, his opinion is important. He has had no moral clarity about any of this division whatsoever. He refused to condemn the Young Republican group chat when it came out a few months ago. They were talking about gas chambers. He's refused to condemn Paul Ingrassia. He's refused to directly combat the Groyper movement growing. I just think it's my entire life, Republicans have been targeting minority group after minority group. Conservatives have been getting rich and gaining power off of this, targeting immigrants, targeting LGBTQ people, women, it's been Somalis, Haitians, but the second that certain MAGA commentators are now the subject of this exact type of bigotry, they have a stunning amount of moral clarity about it. Vivek Ramaswamy only had moral clarity when anti-Indian American hatred was being spread. Republican Representative Randy Fine has a lot of moral clarity about bigotry when it's against him, but the way that he talks about Zohran Mamdani, the way he talks about Ilhan Omar is incredibly contradictory. You can't just stop bigotry from entering your movement when it's hitting you. You have to stop it at the door. This is not courageous for people to speak out. It is self-preservation at this point.
You brought up Mamdani. Do you believe that Mamdani has shown any moral clarity when it comes to Israel and the attacks on
The day
Jews?
after he was elected, there was a swastika. Let me finish. There was a swastika drawn on a window, and he immediately tweeted out and condemned it. There is no equivocation between the way. There is no equivalent between the way Zohran and J.D. Vance have conducted themselves.
So
Do you think J.D. Vance should condemn Nick Fuentes? Should J.D. Vance condemn the Groypers?
He has. He told him he could eat SHIT. That's
Not on
number
stage.
one.
He didn't do it on
Number
stage
two-
in front of the
number two,
Groypers.
Today, Mamdani got asked, there are people on your transition team who have said it's okay to kill Jews after October the 7th. And he said, we have a diversity of political opinion. I think to throw Mamdani in with J.D. Vance is a huge reach. Mamdani has been the opposite of morally clear on.
Are you joking, J.D.
Let me ask
Yes,
you this, because
very,
I think
very,
this is
I'm very
actually
much not
this is
joking.
actually to Adam's point. If you are willing to condemn, if you're willing to condemn Mamdani for
It's kind of ridiculous that he's sitting there saying, "Oh, we just need to take the politics out of this, guys. This is about the victims, guys. Let's take the politics out of this. You keep trying to make this about politics." And I like Adam's answer. He pulled a Destiny by saying like, "Oh, I'll do it when Trump does it." But I feel like the better answer is this was like a political promise from numerous people within the Trump administration. Like this is a political promise. This is part of the campaign. This is part of what he was voted in for. This is part of what his constituents want. This is a political thing. And to try to say, "Oh, let's not make this about politics. Let's just, this is just about the victims." That their job is, the politician's job is to take care of victims. It is purely political. It is political. For you to sit there afterwards and say, "Well, let's just take the politics out of this, guys," is so fucking stupid. It shows that either you just don't understand what politics are, or you're just coping. You're just trying to find a way to save Trump and save MAGA and make, I saved it. I saved it. Woo! That was close. That was close. That's all right. That's all right. Yeah, I'll get.
for what you just described. Again, why would you not condemn conservatives for doing effectively the same thing when you have people like, Nick Fuentes who
Are you
out
questioning
there?
me about what I've had to say about
I'm questioning
anti-Semitism
you.
and
No.
who should be?
She's questioning you on your ability to condemn the people who aren't condemning him. The bullshit from J.D. Vance, where he's like, "Oh, what are we supposed to do? Cancel people? I thought we were against cancel culture." You're supposed to actually have like values and morals and fundamental ideas that your movement is built on. If you guys had some something that J.D. Vance is fine doing is he's fine condemning socialists and communists, right? There's communists who voted for Trump. There's lots of communists who voted for Trump. But J.D. Vance doesn't have a problem condemning communists, even though they're part of the movement. He would say that they don't share our values. He would say they do not share our values. They are not people who we represent. But for some reason, yeah, when it comes to Nick Fuentes. Now all of a sudden, it's cancel culture to condemn these people.
You need clarity
No,
about people like
I'm
Paul and
questioning
Gracia.
you about whether you're willing to apply the same principle to Mamdani that you would apply to people in your own party. Are you willing to do that?
I have repeatedly on this show said anti-Semitism has no place in our political discourse, and we don't need to be associated with it.
So for the people
Are you just
like
now
J.D.
remembering this?
Vance who say, oh, well, we have a lot of
This is what they do. This is what they do. He did not just now say Nick Fuentes is anti-Semitic. He didn't say that. He said, I condemn anti-Semitism. That's what he said. Not Nick Fuentes is anti-Semitic. They always find a way to dodge actually condemning the person. He didn't even condemn Nick Fuentes. He just said, I condemn anti-Semitism. Cool. So does Nick Fuentes do anti-Semitism? Are we talking about him? Want me to say this? Because this is what Trump does all the time, is anytime you point out that some of the people within his following are racist, he refuses to condemn the people within his following. But then he'll say, I condemn all hatred and all bigotry of all peoples. Okay, but what? Give me an example. What's a thing that maybe someone in your movement has done that you would condemn? Can you give me maybe an example of that?
different viewpoints in the Republican tent, and who am I to say who is in and who is not? He just mentioned the Republican group chat, and that was effectively J.D. Vance's point, which is that these are just boys. Boys will be boys. Yeah. They're just young men. We're not going to denounce them. We're not going to denounce them over little mistakes. Are you okay with that?
J.D. Vance is going to have ample opportunity to lead this coalition.
No, but I'm asking about you.
Wait, do you think J.D. Vance should condemn
I'm asking about you. Are you okay with that? Just to say in the same way that you are not okay with Mamdani. That's what I'm at. I get that J.D. Vance is J.D. Vance, but I'm wondering about you. What's the principle that you apply to
Always find some way out of it. The J.D. Vance is the vice president. The first letter of his first name is J. The first letter of his last name is V. Donald Trump is the president. That makes J.D. Vance the vice president. He's younger than Donald Trump. Let's just state a bunch of random, obvious things.
J.D. Vance? And is it the same as what you're applying to Mamdani?
Well, I don't put them anywhere near in the same universe, A. B, look, it is up to us as conservatives to decide who we want to be associated with. I can assure you, we do not want to be associated in any way, shape, or form with Nick Fuentes or anybody approximating what he has to say. Period. Okay, full stop. It will destroy us if we do it.
I wish J.D. Vance would say the same thing.
Tim.
I was going to say, I completely agree. There's been several leaders in the conservative movement who've pushed back on all these talking points about anti-Semitism, and I will completely agree with Scott. There is no place in the conservative movement or in the Republican Party, for that matter, for anti-Semitism or any of those things. I do find it ironic, though, that you compare the vice president, who has, in fact, your litmus test was that he went on Twitter and you just said the vice president didn't condemn something from the stage. The vice president condemned the group chat. We've talked about this on this show, and you guys are completely...
No. He said they said some bad things, but should they have to pay for this for the rest of their lives? Probably not. But maybe they should pay for it right now. Yeah, probably. Should probably pay for this now. Same thing with the kids from Doge. There was those little tech kids within Doge that got caught with a bunch of alt accounts that they were posting horrifically racist shit on those accounts as well. Again, J.D. Vance defended those motherfuckers when they were saying some really fucked up shit about India.
called this.
He called
Wait a second. Wait a second. You
listen,
said, let me finish earlier. Let me finish.
Okay.
You said that
Tim,
the
we've
vice
talked about
president.
this on this
we
show,
did,
and you
and
did
you
not
guys are
condemn the group
mischaracterizing
chat.
the statements that the vice president made. He absolutely came out and condemned and said that there is no place for any comments like that in the Republican Party.
JD Vance said he's going to
conservative
warn
movement.
his kids so some quote-unquote scumbag doesn't leak a group chat in a similar way. He was implying the person who leaked the group chat was a scumbag. JD Vance has had the farthest thing from moral clarity this entire time. And listen, do you know who Paul Ingrassia is?
Sure.
Do you know who Paul Ingrassia is?
Yeah, we've debated it.
Do you know what? Okay, so do you know what Paul Ingrassia said?
Yeah, we've debated
that
it.
he has a Nazi streak. Oh, you've debated it, but has Trump fired him, or is he still a part of the administration?
I don't know where he is right now.
He's a part of the administration, and you know that. You're lying right now. You know that he is a part of the administration. He is still there, and he said he, quote, has a Nazi streak. So you can sit there and play coy, but you are not having the clarity that you are talking about right now. Do you condemn Paul Ingrassia?
I certainly condemn anything.
Should Trump
anybody
fire Paul Ingrassia?
approximating having a Nazi
I think
streak.
the Republicans just have a problem. I would say the Democratic Party has a problem as well. Whenever you coddle bigots, it's going to come back to haunt you. And so Republicans do definitely have a decision to make, whether or not, you know, having free speech is one thing, but coddling people who would cradle bigotry, nurse bigotry, stand up and clap for bigotry, that is a problem. And so now, because the fractions within the Republican Party, which there are some in the Democratic Party too, are having this fight because the promise was that President Donald J. Trump was going to change the material conditions of working class people in the United States of America, and that heretofore has not happened in a way that gives people the relief that they need. And so now you have these people fighting. But bigots are going to bigot. And so leaders have a responsibility. Is Vice President J.D. Vance going to be the vice president for everybody or for certain people?
Well, first of all, Ben didn't actually bring up Israel in his speech. It wasn't really about.
She brought it up.
It wasn't really about Israel. So that's number one. Number two, you're very interested in Ingrassia, who I'm only vaguely familiar with and have never met.
He said he's on a Nazi streak, or he had a Nazi streak.
But we're all familiar with Mamdani. So I'll ask you a similar question. Do you agree with the phrase "globalize the Intifada"?
No.
No. No. Didn't he just say a minute ago that he debated this Gracia guy? Didn't he just say two minutes ago that he debated Gracia? But then just now, he said, I've never met him before. I vaguely know about him. Am I crazy? He just said that 2 minutes ago, yeah?
It wasn't really about Israel, so that's number one. Number two, you're very interested in Ingrassia, who I'm only vaguely familiar with and have never met.
He said he's on a Nazi.
I'm only vaguely familiar with and I've never met. He just said he debated him.
My entire life, Republican in Somalia, Omar is incredible, and you know that. You're lying, so you can sit there and play coy.
Hey everybody, Adam.
Where he is right now.
He is?
Yeah, we've debated it.
Do you know what? Okay, so do you know who Paul Ingrassia is?
Sure.
Do you know who Paul Ingrassia is?
Yeah, we've debated it.
Do you know what? Okay.
Yes, we've debated. Yes, we've debated. And then right after, I'm only vaguely familiar with this guy. I've never met him.
J.D. Vance going to be the vice president for everybody?
So I'll ask you a similar question. Do you agree with the phrase "globalize the Intifada"?
No.
Okay, so do you condemn Zoran Mamdani for his failure to condemn people who go around chanting this at his rallies and events?
It's a false equivalence.
Oh, is it?
It's not a false equivalence.
So you want to
Wait a
hold
minute.
Republicans
Paul Ingrassia saying
responsible
he
for
had a
Ingrassia,
Nazi
but not
streak?
for Mamdani?
"Quote unquote," I was
Come
on a Nazi streak.
Globalize
Zoran
the Intifada.
Mamdani
We
has
just
been
saw it in
very,
Australia,
very
brother.
clear about
If you can't condemn it today, and if you can't get moral clarity on globalize the Intifada today, you got a problem.
Let me just hit pause because we have more on the other side of this. Next for us, J.D. Vance.
The issue with Israel and the Republican Party, we haven't talked much about him tonight, but Trump has been unapologetically pro-Israel, and he's very popular there, and the Jewish people in Israel appreciate him very much. And so, as it relates to his leadership, he's been...
Wow. Trump's a fucking Jew lover. Trump's a Jew lover. Jew lover, Jew lover. Trump is a Jew lover. He loves Jews. Trump's a Jew lover. He loves them. Ew. Ew. Jew lover.
Unequivocal. You know, this connection between Vance and Charlie Kirk is interesting. Charlie Kirk very much supported J.D. Vance, helped him get elected to the Senate. His wife has come out and endorsed him for president. If I may, just read a couple.
Gal Gadot is kind of hot. Gal Gadot is a babe. Gal Gadot is definitely a babe. There was a video that popped up the other day, and they showed a woman's just her body, and they said, guess who we're covering next week? Excuse me. They had her face blacked out, like a black box over her face and just her body. They said, guess who we're covering next week? And the whole fucking comment section said, Gal Gadot. I know that fucking body. I know that chick's body. I don't know her name, though. I don't know her name. But I know her body. She sings. I'll see if I can find the video. I probably can't, but she's a singer. And she has like a famous meme for where she like does this like hard hip twerk thing. Does anybody know who I'm talking about? Amy Grant? No. Isn't Amy Grant old? Shakira? No. Much younger. Brown hair. Somewhat looks like Gal Gadot. Like, has some similar features. Who is Beyonce? No. Bro, that's so funny. Literally, as I was scrolling over my history, there's Beyonce on my scrolling through my history, trying to see if I can find this video. Charlie D'Amelio? She's a singer? No. Closer, though. We're getting closer. She does the hip thing. That's our clue. I mean, I've said, like, you know, she's got dark brown hair. She is white. She has Nelly Furtado. Natalie Furtado? Nelly Furtado? No. It is not. Again, much younger. Is this the video?
Tyla's new song is taking over. She can't seem to stop making bangers.
You gotta make me freeze. Reasons that you gotta. Put in Chanel. Put in Chanel. Hey, say love me, you ain't put me Chanel. Hey, say love me, you ain't put me Chanel. Hey, say love me, you ain't put me Chanel. Hey, say love me, you ain't put me Chanel.
Tyla's new song.
No, this is not it. Okay. Damn it.
With my bestie, like everything.
Okay. Well, yeah, I can't. No, it's not. It's not Thailand. But, okay.
Couple of comments. Charlie Kirk said he would, quote, never build a big tent with Nick Fuentes. I don't align with Jew haters. Sorry, I'm not going to put up with Jew hatred in the conservative movement in America. And Erica Kirk said, what healing factor comes out of hating Jewish people? Nothing. Charlie always would say very clearly, Jew hate was brain rot. He would always say it. And so if you believe what is true, which is that Vance has a very strong connection to Erica and the Kirk family, they are long on the record of opposing aligning with anti-Semitic
He's not taking that message, okay? Here's what he said. This is what J.D. Vance said today to a conservative outlet. He said, let's say you believe, as I do, that racism is bad, that we should judge people according to their deeds and not their ethnicity. Is Nick Fuentes really the problem in this country? He's a podcaster. He has a dedicated group of young fans. Some of them have been shitty to my friends and family, not least Mrs. Vance. Does that annoy me? Of course, but let's keep some perspective. For the last 10 years, I've watched half of our political leadership go all in on the idea that discriminating against whites in college admissions and jobs is not just okay, but affirmatively good. If you believe racism is bad, Fuentes should occupy 1 second of your focus, and the people with actual political power who worked so hard to discriminate against white men should occupy many hours of it. Tim, I'm curious. Do you think that is? I mean, he's basically saying affirmative action is worse. DEI is worse than a Jew-hating, Nazi-sympathizing bigot.
Abby, I'm going to go back to the point that we made earlier that I just want stated very clearly. There is no place for any of these people who hate anyone for the color of their skin or who they choose to love or who they choose to worship in the Republican Party or in the conservative movement. That's very clear. I want to go to a point that Nina said earlier.
So if they say that they don't hate those people, they just dislike their choices and who they date based on the color of their skin or their religion or ethnicity, then it's all good? Not so bad anymore?
Earlier, the fact of the matter is that we're not.
But what about J.D. Vance and his leadership? I mean, if he is going to be taking the mantle of President Trump and leading the party, taking the mantle of Charlie Kirk, is this the brand of leadership? What I just described there, those were his words.
J.D. Vance, to your point, J.D. Vance has not only lived a life but is led in a career that condemns these things. You're talking about someone who. Wait a second, let me finish. You're talking about someone who's a United States Marine, who served with people from all walks of life across the country and served in combat in this country. So this idea that the vice president all of a sudden doesn't believe these words, you're talking about someone who comes from nothing and built themselves up to be the vice president of the United States. And so the president doesn't, the vice president doesn't just believe these words, he's lived them and served in uniform on those words. So don't give me this idea that the vice president doesn't believe that we shouldn't have a country where everybody's welcome. You heard him say it on there, and don't give me this drama about Twitter. The other point I'll make is you talked about how we weren't applying this properly across the board when it was dead silent. Dead silent. When Jay Jones, who was going to be the Attorney General in Virginia, who's going to be the Attorney General of Virginia, said that he wants to watch a woman's kids get shot so he can urinate on their grave. Condemn that? And you were silent. Your party and your group was silent. So don't talk to me now. Don't try to lecture us and lecture American people about equality and what's fair and who should be allowed in the party after your party sat silent after those words, and someone is now going to be the chief law enforcement officer in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
We just listened to Vivek Ramaswamy.
It's actually sickening and it's angering because you don't make sense.
We just listened to Vivek Ramaswamy with a lot of moral clarity. Scott just read off Charlie Kirk and Erica Kirk quotes with a lot of moral clarity. I don't know if you were trying to convince us or J.D. Vance that there's no anti-Semitism, but there's a lot of moral clarity coming from these people, not from J.D. Vance. Like I'm going to say, he did not condemn the young Republican group chat. You can lie and say he did. He didn't. J.D. Vance has played fast and loose with this movement the entire time because he doesn't want to alienate the greater movement. Right now, Scott played coy about Paul and Gracia and then took the moral high ground saying that we need clarity about these types of things. You are not providing the type of moral clarity. Can you say that Paul and Gracia shouldn't belong in the administration?
I don't know Paul and Gracia.
Quote, we've had a Nazi streak. If he said that, can you say that?
My recollection is when we debated it, I said I wouldn't waste any political capital on someone saying things this stupid.
He didn't get that Senate-appointed job, but he did get appointed to a
Yeah, I mean, I personally wouldn't waste any
by
capital
this
on someone who says stupid things.
It's not
like
any
that.
capital. It's just it's a job offer being offered and accepted. He works in the administration now. It's as simple as that. 'Tis the season for Christmas music, but since some of us have been listening since Halloween, like myself, there might be an overplayed song. So for tonight's news nightcap, what is the most overplayed Christmas song for you, Adam? You're up.
Listen, Rudolph has got to go. I feel bad for the guy. I feel bad that his friends bullied him. I'm glad that he figured out the red nose thing, but the song is a little bit overplayed at this point. Sorry, Rudolph.
That one's not for you.
He's only saying that because Rudolph is brown. And he's done, just like White Man from Town, he's done with the fake oppression. Done with the fake oppression. Right, White Man from Town? Right? Right? White Man from Town? Yeah. Who cares if he doesn't get to join in any reindeer game? We don't want to hear his fucking fake oppression. I've never joined in any reindeer games either. Never. Not literally my entire life have I ever been able to join in any reindeer game. You don't hear me crying about it. Xenophobia is hot right now. Yep. It's the next big thing. Okay. Well, I give up. I can't find it. But it was a thing. And the chick that I'm thinking of, I'm pretty sure she's a singer. Dua Lipa. Dua Lipa. That's who it was. It was Dua Lipa. That's who it was. It was Dua Lipa. They had the face blacked out, but then the body, and all I could see was the body, and I was like, everybody in the chat kept saying that was Wonder Woman. And I was like, nah, I know who that is. I just can't think of her fucking name. I would correct all you motherfuckers, but I remember a body much more easily than I remember a name. Do La Peep. Okay. All right. I think I smell what you're cooking. Yeah, I could have sworn it was on YouTube, but may not have been. Might have been on a completely different platform. All right.
Aram Sound tipped $10. May your Christmas be as Jewish as possible. Merry Santa to you all. Santa Claus emoji.
Jew lover.
Santa Claus emoji. Santa Claus
Jew
emoji.
lover.
Christmas tree emoji.
Aaron's a
Christmas
Jew
tree
lover.
emoji. Christmas tree emoji.
Aaron
Santa
loves the
Claus
Jews.
emoji. Christmas tree emoji. Santa Claus emoji. Christmas tree emoji. Star of David emoji.
Jew lover. Dua Lipa lives in New Zealand. I know. Why do you think I'm moving? Duh.
Hunter Biden, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, man. Big fan.
I can't believe you're a fan.
Why?
I don't know. I just never.
There's no shot he's a fan. There's no shot. Hunter Biden's never come off as like a big conspiracy theorist to me. This guy is one of the dumbest conspiracy theorists of all time. And he has on some of the dumbest fucking people ever. Like, he has on people who just say blatantly dumb shit. And he nods his head like yeah. Oh, I know. I heard about that too. Yeah. No, you did not. Shut the fuck up. This is all just made up. What the fuck?
It's wild to me that you're a fan. Yeah, man. I'm finding. So, I mean, I pretty much interviewed almost everybody that's on the Trump admin now.
Yeah.
And that kind of, I think people maybe, I don't know, people got maybe the wrong impression of me that I agree with everything that side of the aisle says, and I don't. But you know, we did.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you in trouble. I got the exact opposite impression.
Right on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. There's just some. You know who else? Elizabeth Warren's team listens to my show a lot. That really surprised me.
Okay, so here's why: is that you're a great listener, and I think that the authentic way in which you listen and respond leads me to believe that that you're just open, like you're open to information, and you're not judging it as it's coming over the transom, unless it's just fucking outrageous, you know, or somebody's being hateful or lying, or insincere. And you know, I was saying to those guys out there, I watch you do I've watched everything, not everything, but I've watched a lot of it. I really do. I listen to you while I paint, and the thing that always comes across to me with you is that fundamentally you have like a core set of beliefs, of values, and they're the same values I have. I mean, and maybe that's a shock or a surprise, but you know, I was saying to you guys out there, like we all think that, you know, if you're Republican or Democrat, you know, that we got nothing in common. I will tell you what I was raised with. What I try to, you know, I mean, obviously I try and I failed in many respects, and failed in my addiction, and sometimes fail in my sobriety, and being the man that I aspire to be. but I care about my family. I care about my friends. I care about my community.
Oh, wait, I totally forgot. I had a debate to review. I totally forgot. There was a big debate. A big debate.
You said online shopping is better than offline shopping. How can you say that online shopping is better than offline shopping? Online shopping is order the pink color t-shirt and come the purple color t-shirt. In online shopping.
Why are you not returned? Why are you not returned the cloth? The app. Listen. Stop. The app is give option return. Okay.
Not option is not written.
Which app?
Miso.
You prove it. Miso.
Yes, Miso.
Yes, I will see.
Because I don't have time. Because I don't have a time. I don't talk to you. I have no time. You sit down.
How can you sit down? How can I am sit down?
You sit down.
God, I am not talking to business girls, okay? Anyone.
I don't talk to you.
I don't talk to girls.
to you.
I don't find
You
the
sit
girls,
down.
okay?
You have no knowledge. I don't talk to you. You have a sit down.
Please maintain
You
your
sit down.
distance, okay?
You sit down. You sit down.
Why are you shouting? Why are you shouting?
We got a we got fucking future Rob Nor over here, dude.
I care about my country, and I care about my faith. And I'm,
All right, we got 33 minutes to hit $10 on the goal. 33 minutes.
maybe being presumptuous. I think that's what you care about. And I
That's
don't
what
mean
I
that
care
as like
about.
some saccharine bullshit, but our prescription of how to make all those things better may be different. You know? And those are the things that we used to argue about.
Yeah.
You know, I'd grown up, the majority of my friends were all Republicans, I aspired, I mean, my heroes
Oh,
were
I
the guy,
know.
you guys,
Oh, I know.
the people that served, like my brother, like you,
Oh, I know.
and so anyway, my point is, I don't think, I don't know why you'd be shocked, other than by the impression that's been left about me.
I think
I don't know.
I think I'm shocked because I'm dealing with this shit, man. You grew up in this, in politics, and
I didn't grow up in this though, Sean.
yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is it's just, man, it's so fucking politicized now. And so you think that the Republican
Partisan.
Democrat, which I don't even fucking know what it means to be a Republican anymore, to be honest with you. I think everything's just so far
Nobody
off
does.
base now that I don't
Yeah.
I don't even know. I have conservative values, and that's all I
Literally
can say
nobody knows
anymore.
what it means to be a Republican.
But it's just become so divisive that it appears that the decision has already been made for you, to most people, on who you can associate with, who you can watch, who you can take information from, and who you can't. And while I don't and will never again fall into those fucking lines. I think a lot of people, can't, they can't see past it. And some things have happened to me too, since I've been in this game of fucking podcasting and started diving into politics. And, what I've realized is that, whatever the mainstream media determines the narrative is going to be about you.
What the fuck are you on about, white man? He's gay. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's a fucking groomer.
That's what it's going to be. Whether it has
Tell me about it, brother.
Exactly, right? But I mean, I am not a MAGA cultist. I don't agree with everything that that comes out of that, whatever political movement. In fact, as time moves on, I agree with less and less of it. But, but if you look at the mainstream media, the first thing they put in front of my fucking name every single fucking time is MAGA influencer, MAGA podcaster, MAGA podcaster.
You do not have to be MAGA to be a MAGA influencer. Joe Rogan has become a MAGA influencer. Whether or not Joe Rogan is MAGA does not matter. Joe Rogan is a MAGA influencer.
Sean Ryan, it's like, where do you come up with this shit? Yeah. But so anyways,
well, maybe I missed some interviews.
That's why I
start getting nervous.
Nah, I mean, I don't think you've missed much.
No, I haven't. I've watched
wear my heart on my sleeve.
I have serious disagreements with people that have been really, I think, objectively cruel to me. Like Tucker's been objectively cruel to me, and I know that you're friends with Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
I used to know Tucker. I wasn't friends with Tucker.
What? Cruel? You mean you don't believe the whole thing about the hard drive that was in the mail where he was going to have the official documents that proved that you were corrupt and that your dad was corrupt, and you don't thought that was cruel that they just said they had this thing that was coming for this major big episode that they were about to prove that the president of the United States and his son were running this massive illegal I don't know what to call it, scandal, and then when it came time for him to finally show the shit that he had been talking about, he said it got lost in the mail. It's like telling all the kids at school that you have the fucking coolest project, that you solved world hunger and cancer with your school project, with your science project, and it's going to be so awesome. And then when the presentation time comes, you say your dog ate your homework. That's what Tucker Carlson did when he was on Fox. It's so how is that cruel? Mantis, he's gay.
But I think that we're all we should all have a common enemy. And the truth of the matter is, it's not any politician or federal government worker.
Mm-hmm.
Who's benefiting right now? Who? Whether the Democrats are in control of Congress or whether the Republicans are, who ultimately seems to be benefiting?
Well, I can tell you who's not benefiting.
Not normal people.
Yeah.
Not regular guys, not the guys you served with, not the guys that I went to high school with, not the, nobody that I know. The people that are benefiting are the people that seem to have always some way.
Because he's gay, Anthony.
Avoid.
That's why. He is part of the LGBTQ.
The consequences and win.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, the 0.1%.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even the 1% anymore. I mean, it's like literally And I'm not saying, you know, all billionaires are evil. I'm not saying that. I promise you. But I am saying that from my vantage point,
Nobody thought you were going to say that.
we are all the victims of the
Literally
algorithms
nobody.
that they have caged us in. Every one of us. And we are why are we all so mad at each other? I don't understand. This bad politics never used to be like this. It didn't be like, I'll tell you why. Where's the phone? Like, you pick up your phone, man. And then people are incentivized. People that we used to trust are incredibly incentivized in a very perverse way to make me hate you, to label you, Sean. You're a vet, special ops. You have a inside view of that. You have conservative values. And so therefore, you know, at one point or another, you supported, you know, some of the things that Donald Trump was saying.
I mean, that also a reason that I wouldn't assume that he immediately like hates Sean Ryan. That Joe Biden has always been friends with Republicans. Like, it's been like a staple of his career is how close he's been with Republicans. He has always been very, very close with Republicans. And some of his best friends were Republican senators. So you would expect that his son would also not have this like deep hatred of anybody who's Republican.
And, you know, and the people that surrounded him. And so therefore, you know what you are? You're my fucking enemy. You're my enemy. I shouldn't be sitting here.
Yep.
You know what I mean? The one thing I've come to the conclusion of, because my own experience.
I'm sorry, but like it is true. These people are his enemy. Like, these people voted for a fucking guy who had harassed him and his family and lied about them and berated them and like put them through insane amounts of investigations and just like put them through hell for absolutely nothing. And they voted for him. Like, they voted for him anyway. You should hate those people. I hate them. I hate them for him. It's fucked up. And to you know, as much as any single person has suffered from the Trump administration, Hunter Biden is among like one of the most. He is among like one of the highest among them. And that's not to say that he's innocent. That's not to say that he did nothing wrong. But he's definitely up there. I wouldn't say he has suffered the most. Definitely not. There's a lot of people who were in CGOT who have gone through much, much worse than anything that Hunter Biden has gone through. But he definitely got the raw end of the fucking Trump administration.
It's such a bunch of bullshit. Such a bunch of bullshit. I wish people would just wake up.
I know, man.
Wake up, man. Remember your neighbor. Remember your neighbor, who, by the way, may have voted for Donald Trump, but didn't vote for this. Didn't vote for this. Now, I could have told him. Maybe. Do you know what I mean?
Remember when Hunter Biden went to sit in Congress and they all got nervous? What? I have no idea what you're talking about.
But I saw one of your shows where you talked about like some days it feels like we're really on the verge of real violence. Not this what do they call it? Stochastic violence? Not these kind of the seemingly endless violence that we witness as it relates to what just happened to Rob Reiner, to his son, or what happened to Charlie Kirk, or what happened to the students at Brown University, or what happened to the people celebrating Hanukkah on Bondi Beach. And by the way, that was all what, except for Charlie Kirk, within the past day. But beyond that violence, I saw you talking to somebody about it. Like, are we going to be picking up guns?
Well, what you're referring to is, you see all this talk about revolution, Civil War, all this type of shit. And I mean, if you think about, how would you destroy the United States of America? I mean, I don't think that you destroy it by kinetic war. I don't think you nuke it. I don't think you send in troops. I don't think you do a naval battle. You divide them because, there are more guns in this country. And I'm a gun owner and I'm a fucking pro 2A guy. Don't ever try to take my damn guns. But,
okay.
There are so many here that if there was an adversary that was successful in dividing us so much so that it actually ended up in kinetic war, nobody could come in. You can't even send a country to come in here to aid because there are so many fucking guns. And I spent 14 years in Iraq, Afghanistan, Yemen, all over the Middle East. They don't have half the damn guns that we have in this country. And there are places there that you're fucking dead if you go outside. And maybe you're dead if you don't go outside.
Yeah.
And this here
yeah,
would be way worse.
Oh, 100%.
Way worse than that. When the desperation sets in, people start getting hungry, cold, they need warm clothes, they need food, they need water, they need medication. Like when the system fucking breaks down, this will be the most dangerous place in the
Does he know that, does he know that we had the most guns 100 years ago when the Great Depression happened? We still had the most guns then too. This isn't like a brand new thing where all of a sudden we have the most guns. Like, we've had the most guns for a long time. I don't know. He just comes up with these fantasies in his head about oh yeah, you don't want to fuck with us. Oh, we have so many guns. Oh, all hell will break loose. Oh, it'll be like Mad Max Fury Road all of a sudden. We don't have our Kansas soup tea. I love we've been through shit before. You guys always talk about what you would do with your fucking gun. What you would do with your guns. Oh, if we ever had a guy in the office who was constantly breaking the Constitution and was trying to be a dictator and was trying to send the military into fucking cities and shit. Oh man. It would be over. Well, you voted for a guy who's doing that now. You're not doing shit with your guns. So. And then I have conservatives giving me shit for talking about, hey, this is what the Second Amendment's for. People should be using their guns. They're like, what? What the hell?
The entire world.
I 100% agree. I 100% agree. And so, that's why I asked the question, who's benefiting? And one thing I know that who's benefiting from what's happening in our country right now is the immediate answer to that is our adversaries, our most obvious adversaries. Russians, Chinese, and a cadre of other actors.
I'm pretty sure this guy's like a Russian shill, isn't he? I've never really watched him very much, but isn't he isn't he like constantly pushing like Russian conspiracy theories and shit? Like Russian disinfo? Doesn't he push the Russian propaganda?
That I think sometimes pretend that they're our allies, but would just as well see us burn. And then who else is benefiting? The only people that are doing better and have consistently amassed wealth to a degree that has never been seen before in human history are the oligarch class of the Elon Musks and the Peter Thiels and and a whole host of other people. And I'm not just picking them out, and Jeff Bezos and so there's a very, very, very finite, infinitesimal in terms of numbers of people that are benefiting to a degree that we've never witnessed before, except one other time, which was in the turn of the century, in like the 1900s, early 1900s, late 1800s, and with the Gilded Age and J.D. Rockefeller and the Standard Oil and that period of time. And I think to myself, well, what's the solution right now? What are
we even talking about?
I think first thing is the realization that there's no savior coming. There's no Christ character of some political bent that is going to come and fix everything, and going to allow people to begin to talk to each other across the fence and across the dinner table in any.
Sure there is. His name's Gavin Newsom. He's going to save the country and make America great again.
Near future we have. But if the problem,
Gavin Newsom should just straight up steal that phrase like it was his own. Like he came up with it. He should just straight up steal "Make America Great Again," but make it about making America great like it was before Trump took over. That way, when people actually ask, like, okay, you say "Make America Great Again," but like, what point are you trying to go back to? Which it was great. And before Trump took over.
can't be solved politically, then how's it going to be solved? Because it ain't getting any better. And if you have, if these people that I watch on your shows, and I'm a armchair expert like everybody else on AI, but if you just listen to the people that are actually building these things, what is it? They think that there's a 20 to 30% chance that super intelligence could cause a mass extinction event, and they think that we're going to reach AGI in the next 3 years, and that AGI basically means that we're going to have anywhere from 70 to 90% unemployment, and and so at a time in which we're, as a human race, making an evolutionary step that is never, that supersedes every other evolutionary step that's ever occurred before, what is the most important thing that we could have? Leadership. And what do we have? We have utter and complete chaos right now. And at least from my perspective. And I
was about to say, obviously, he doesn't agree.
So I think, well, what can we do? Why listen to you? I listen to you talk to people that I don't necessarily in any obvious way agree with.
Are we still talking about this? We're still just talking about the fact that he listened to him. What the fuck are we doing here, guys?
Some, by the way, who have been really cruel to me personally. But I listen and try to figure out, is there any way that we can see eye to eye? Because we all need to wake up, man. Because what's the alternative? What's the alternative other than the
what we just talked
dystopic
about?
Vision that you just talked about?
Well, I think the unfortunate thing, Hunter, is a lot of people are hoping for that to happen, but they've never lived in that. So they don't know really what that's going to be like. And I don't even know what the fuck that's going to be.
There's a lot of tough guys out there.
But
a lot of tough guys that think that they, they think that they, because they own some of the guns that you've shot in places where they will never have been, including myself. Like, let me give you an example. And I know that we're not like, the one thing I promised myself that I wouldn't do is like, I think people are so sick. Like, who gives a shit what Hunter Biden thinks about politics right now? But I can tell you just from I can only talk about it from my personal experience and being witness to it in a very intimate way, and being a victim of it in some ways, and not a victim of it. That's a pretty lame way to say it. Being trapped by it, caged by it in many ways, not by any choice of my own. The president just put out that tweet, okay, or whatever they call it, about Rob Reiner, okay? And somebody trying to break down the...
I don't know what the fuck that was.
They're storming the gates. They know I'm in here. They're going to rip you off air. Yeah. Well, anyway, the president put out that True Social thing, and everybody's like, God, it's just horrible taste, and it's beneath the president. And, he basically blaming Rob Reiner's murder and his wife Michelle's murder on the fact that he is of Trump derangement syndrome. Everybody says that, it's just like, has he lost his mind? Does he have, dementia and this and that? And, I think he knows exactly what he's doing. And what he's doing is this, what he's always done, is he's giving people permission structure. Rob Reiner died violently because he opposed me. And I wish his family well, rest in peace. That's what he's saying. And in so doing, I think what he's basically saying is, you know what? Like, stand in my way, and this is what happens. And so 90% of people, I really believe 90% of people, even his supporters, 90% of his supporters goes like, oh, why did you say that? That's so cruel. 10%, what they hear is he got what he deserved. And I see him do that over and over again. And it really worries me. And by the way, I'm not saying that there aren't people on the left that do the same goddamn thing. And it is, it turns my stomach then.
Yeah,
I think
it really
the difference
is.
is the president. President has a responsibility. I think the most important responsibility of a president is not the, other than, the question of, the deployment of force, is the tone that he sets for the country. More than any law, more than anything. It's just the tone that he sets.
I'm with you. I mean, it does, though. It comes from, it's not just him. With the Charlie Kirk stuff and with the, other assassination attempt on him and Butler, which actually they shut down the investigation on that for whatever reason. I don't know why you wouldn't want to know who tried to fucking kill you, but whatever, right? Nothing to see here. But, I mean, when you have a political party that's continuously saying you're a Nazi, a fascist, Nazi, he's like Hitler, what I mean? And then you got assassination attempts all over the fucking country, and it's
I know, but
it's like
Sean,
I said at the
I'm
beginning.
not. Look, I don't want to get into like the argument over and I really mean it. But like, I hear you, I hear what you're saying. But part of me also says you don't want to be called a fascist. Don't act like a fascist.
Who are these people? Seriously?
And what I mean by fascism is this: is it deputizing a largest federal police force in history to go on America's streets, masked, without warrants, and drag pregnant women out of their cars in the snow and kneel on their backs, of sending people to prisons, death camps in El Salvador with no due process. I promise you that I believe this with all my heart, is that you and I don't have any distance between us and what we think about immigrants and immigration. How many immigrants did you serve with?
How many what?
Immigrants did you serve with?
Quite a few.
Quite a few. Amazing people, right? How about in your personal life? How many people around here or that are in this community that you're
amazing people, right? He's like, well, okay, let's try another.
in, or when you were growing up, that are from immigrants. By the way, that may have bent the rules to be able to get in here, and they shouldn't have, and they should probably leave if they did. But I don't think that we have any disagreement that one of the things that makes this country an incredible country is immigration.
Yeah.
30% of every new business in the United States annually is started by an immigrant. 35% of the Fortune 100 CEOs in the United States of America.
They're taking those businesses from the people who deserve it. That's DEI. Those people are coming in here and creating businesses as part of their invasion.
Top 100 companies in America are immigrants.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think, I guess I shouldn't, I can't even fucking say, I don't think anybody, for myself, you know, with the immigration thing, I think for me, the issue with the immigration stuff is how it's prioritized. So I'll give you an example. I know we need immigrants. I mean, we're building a studio, ice rolls through town. We couldn't get anybody to fucking work to finish building this out. This is about 3 months old. But point being, I mean, we have to have them. You know, we have to have them. They are the, I mean, they are the worker base now. It just is
also
what
the
the fuck
engine
it is.
to our economy.
But what I will say is, when it comes to the prioritization, the stuff that I'm talking about, I mean, I think for me specifically, I got no problem with immigration, and I think what's going on right now is also a fucking disaster. I think that before we
It's a very cool studio. Like, this is slick. He's got like the bar in the back, but then he's got a fucking LC-10 up there. He's got an AIM. Got some of my favorite Modern Warfare guns hanging up in the back.
I got no problem with immigration, and I think what's going on right now is also a fucking disaster. I think that before we go in and deport every single person that's come here, I think we need to fix the system on how you get in. It's fucked up. People can't get in. Good people can't get in. You know what I mean? But what's happened from my perspective, what I see is, you know, you look, Hunter, we got all these guys coming home, and women, you know, from Iraq, Afghanistan, Yemen, 20 fucking plus years of war, right? Most of these people can't even get help in the VA. Can't even fucking get that. You know what I mean? Everybody knows there's a veteran suicide epidemic. It's 22 a day. It's been going on for more than a decade. You know, we have a major suicide epidemic going on with veterans. We have a major addiction problem going on with veterans, PTSD, traumatic brain injury. I mean, you name it. Our people that spent 20 plus fucking years protecting this country can't get the help they need. But if you flip on the news, all you see is free hotels for immigrants in New York.
But Sean,
free healthcare.
Sean,
free this,
I don't
free
disagree
that.
with
It's
you,
like,
but
fuck, man. Like we that's real pain fighting for this fucking country.
I got
you know what I mean?
I got it. If that's the dichotomy that you're presented with. Okay. But again, I'll say this. You know what? That's your algorithm, man. Okay? Because here's the deal. Is that no one that I know of, okay, that would say that they're a Democrat. I don't even know if I'm a Democrat anymore. I don't know if I'm a part of any political, because it's just like, pox on all your houses, in my opinion. But not that you shouldn't engage in the political process. It's like, I'm just talking about the parties. I think it's like imperative that we don't give up on politics as a solution. We got to, because what's the alternative? I mean, truly, if the politics and process aren't a solution to our problems, that the only solution to is who wins in a zero-sum game. Who wins? Guns. And that violence that you talked about. But if you think that, and I don't want to make all this about political, about, I know that the people that you brought through here really, really care about the issues that you just talked about. I care about them. I know my dad did. I know 100% he did, about veterans, about what's happening at the VA, about the addiction problem, about the suicide rate among veterans. I'm absolutely certain that he did. And so that's why he did the PACT Act. That's why he did a whole host of other things as it relates to veterans, but I'm not going to.
That's why he did what?
Among veterans.
You say Baghdad?
Veterans. I'm absolutely certain that he did. And so that's why he did the PACT Act. That's why he did a whole host of other things as it relates to veterans. But I'm not going to I don't want to get into my dad's policy prescriptions, because then everybody just turns off.
Yeah.
But I can say this is that nobody right now is in any way making even remotely a credible argument that if we stop giving immigrants free hotel rooms, then we'd be able to prioritize veterans instead. Like, what a bunch of bullshit.
Yes, this is thank fucking God, dude. Thank fucking God. This has been my main fucking argument for the longest period, where people always create this dichotomy where they're like, how fucked up is it that we're doing this when we're not doing that? And it's like, okay, but that we don't have to get rid of this in order to do that, right? This is like a MAGA talking point for a while. It's, wow, look how much we're giving to Ukraine when we're not even helping the veterans. And I think we need to stop giving money to Ukraine, and we should give all that money to the veterans. It's like, okay, but what should we do in reality? And they're like, no, really, we need to just stop giving the money to Ukraine. That money should be for veterans. I'm like, what makes you think that can you show me the bill for veterans where they were like, can we give all this money to veterans, please? And then other people were like, nope, that money is going to Ukraine. When did this happen? They always create these weird dichotomies where they're like, why are we doing this? We should be doing that. It's like, okay, but why not both? Why do we have to do one of these things?
Of course, that's what you prioritize.
Yeah.
Of course, that's what you do. And not only that, is that, okay, let's agree with this. The system is fucking broken. Completely broken. So let's get together and do a bipartisan legislation as it relates to it. And let's get the most conservative senator in the United States, one of the most conservative senators in the United States Senate, to come up with a plan that his caucus will accept and that he can sell to the Democrats.
That's what happened.
And let's create a piece of legislation that sitting president will sign into law, that'll at least begin to address some of these problems, some of the inequities on both sides that are occurring. And what do we do? James Inhofe did that.
Yeah.
Republican Party in the United States Senate did that. They got an agreement with the Republicans in Congress and the House side that they would vote for the legislation.
Yep.
And then Donald Trump stepped in 6 months before the election and told them that he was going to primary every single one of them that voted for that. Because we're addicted to the problem. And the people, when you say you turn on the TV and what you see is a sea of disinformation some of it real, about the bullshit, over abundance of resources that immigrants are taking out of the United States. And what do I see when I turn on my TV or open up my phone? I see the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're both addicted to the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's talking about the solution. And there's not somebody in politics right now that is, I think there are some people, but I don't think that we should expect somebody
Marjorie
to come
Taylor
in and save us.
Greene.
I don't either.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is the only one who's willing to fix things. And now she's leaving. She's the only one who's willing to help. And she's not even a Jew lover. Okay?
I'll be honest with you, I fucking have given up.
Yeah.
Like
But here's my problem.
Yeah.
My problem is, and I guess this goes to the reason why when you said you're surprised that I listen, I'm surprised that I'm not surprised. I understand where you're coming from on that. Don't you think I want to?
Sorry?
I said, don't you think I want to figure out a solution to the immigration issue?
I think a lot of people do.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Don't you think Gavin Newsom wants to figure out? Now, I assume that anybody that's running for president, if they could fix the immigration issue, would try to fix the immigration issue. Right? Because we need immigration.
You can't really say that and then turn around and say Donald Trump doesn't want to fix the issue, that he's addicted to the problem, that he tried stopping the yeah, you can't say like anybody who's running for president wants to fix this right after saying the guy who's currently president while running for president made sure that we didn't fix it.
We need a vibrant immigration, but we don't want immigrants that are coming here illegally, draining us of resources, and also and being prioritized above people that are actual literal heroes that are coming home, or that are still recovering from 20 years of endless war, or anybody else in our society, right?
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's talking past each other.
Hey everybody, I want to talk to you about Rocket Money. Managing your finances takes time. Canceling old subscriptions, tracking expenses, and sticking to a budget. Luckily, I think that's what you said. And there is no difference today. That's rocketmoney.com/SRS. rocketmoney.com/SRS. I mean, when you talk about nobody's coming to save us, there is no Christ-like figure coming, but then you also say we can't totally abandon politics as a way to fix the problem. I think that's what you said.
Yeah, I know. And I realize that it is a oxymoronical, I guess, right? So but I'm trying to figure it out, and the only thing that I can think of is conversations like this. And not that I'm in any way important, but I really, really think that some people that have skin in the game, whether by any virtue of what they're doing in terms of their professional life or their political aspirations, or that have been thrust into it, whether they chose to or not, have an obligation to say, I find that I have more in common. I'm positive that I have more in common with Sean Ryan, who's considered by whoever incorrectly as a MAGA influencer, than I do, than I don't have in common with them.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I think that
I think I just fucked you over. I think there's a chance on the edit that you're going to want to take that part out. But no, but I'm being serious.
I think we all have a lot more in common with each other than we don't.
Yeah.
And so I'm 100% with you on that. And but you got to have a conversation to find out the answer, and people aren't doing that. So, but well, Hunter, I want to do a life expose on you, and starting from birth all the way to now. And obviously there'll be some tough questions, but I think we will hit every array of emotions out there. I think we'll get some laughs, some sadness, some happiness, some anger, and I think it's going to make a great interview. So
Hunter is a fucking talker, dude. Hunter, this is gonna be a little excruciating, isn't it? Hunter is a fucking babbler, bro. This guy babbles. He is from Babylon. Yes, he is a yapologist. And a Jew lover.
Once again, I just want to say thank you for coming. I've really been looking forward to this. So, but in other news, if you see my beef with Dan Crenshaw, he's gonna sue me, Hunter.
I know
he's gonna sue me.
I'm sorry, buddy.
But so you're a Yale educated attorney.
Yeah.
Can you give us a legal analysis breakdown of the Dan Crenshaw lawsuit against Sean Ryan?
Well, technically, I've been disbarred, so I have to say
I saw that.
Yeah, I have to say that. It's very technically, meaning I've been disbarred. So, look, to be serious about it, is it, like, what are you even talking about? Like, I've followed this, and it's the same. I don't know whether that these people that are become so high on their own supply think, and the people that like the sucker fishes that attach to them, like these lawyers, think that in any way they're sending you a bullshit letter, demand letter, was going to do anything but make you say, "Fucking try me." I mean, what the hell, man? I mean, look, there's a bunch of things that you could do. Like, number one, it seems to me that you potentially could sue him right now.
Really?
Have a good night, man.
Yes, and that's, for instance, that's what Michael Wolff did with the First Lady, is that she continued to threaten him and continued to threaten him like they threatened me. And my response to that was, bring it on. Like, you wanna go through a discovery process with me in which I get to depose you, the president, and every person that you were associated with while you were friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Like, you want to do that, then I'm willing to do that. I'm going to need a GoFundMe, but you know what I mean? But I'm willing to do that. And I never heard from them again. Okay. And I didn't say anything that Michael Wolff didn't, but they continued to send Michael Wolff letters. Whatever you think about Michael Wolff, is that Michael Wolff basically said, is that threatening someone with a lawsuit that is engaged in protected speech, particularly when who you're speaking about is a sitting United States congressman, which basically you can say whatever the fuck you want about him, no matter what. That's America. You know what I mean? Seriously.
I mean, Donald Trump has sued numerous networks for like defamation or some shit. So all right, I'm way too tired for this shit. I'm way too tired. We didn't hit the goal, so I'm gonna go ahead and get off. I'll hopefully be back on tomorrow. I don't think I got any family plans or anything tomorrow, so we'll try again then. Till then, appreciate you. Love you. See you next time. Merry Christmas, everybody. Later, fools.
Chorandom WY9FF says. Good night. Aussie Welder says. Take care everyone. Joblo PJ5JJ says. Happy Crimbus.